Hey everybody, welcome. Thank you for being here tonight. Everybody that is here, anybody who's watching replay. I know there's some other creators that are live tonight. I usually don't do Thursday nights, maybe once or twice a month. But we're here tonight. We're just gonna, it's kind of after Monday's Missing Person Monday live stream was very, very intense, very heavy. So we're just gonna have a little chill night, talk about some how pop true crime is linked or has influenced pop culture. And since it's a Halloween season, we're going to be focusing on some of the horror movies, TV shows, things of that nature. But feel free to throw in any true crime, pop culture related thoughts that you may have. It's been a long week. We still got Friday to go, but we've almost made it to Friday. Oh, anyway, I apologize once again for the scratchy voice, the nasally. They're still burning off the fields all around here, so all the smoke in there has got everything all messed up. But anyway, hope everybody's had a good week. Hope everybody's weather has been good. It's been nice here in Arkansas. Starting to cool down a little bit. But we're supposed to have rain this weekend, which we need. So I'll just do like I usually do during football season on Saturday and Sunday, lay in the bed and watch football all day. But anyway, let's see who is here. And once again, I got about 3 or 4 hours sleep last night or this morning. I was up most of the night trying to fix my stupid computer. Every time it came up, I need to do all these updates, and then I'd, connect to Wi-Fi on my phone so it could do updates, and it would get halfway through them and it said I didn't have enough room on the computer or whatever to do all the updates and to delete stuff. And I went through and deleted, I don't know how much stuff, and it still wouldn't do updates. So there's the thing you could do, reset the computer, or basically it just kind of wipes everything out, reinstalls everything. So I was up all night trying to do that. Trying to get Google Chrome reinstalled, wouldn't reinstall. So I'm using the Microsoft Edge browser thing. I don't know. I'm not that technically savvy. But anyway, enough of my problems. And once again, when I tested StreamYard out today, because I've not used StreamYard on anything but Google Chrome. But when I tested it out this morning before I went to work, it worked fine. It let me do everything that it would let me do on Chrome. And of course, now it's not coming up on my computer. So anyway, I'll be working off the phone. At least hopefully my articles will load. It's the usual dumpster fire around here. But anyway, we'll see who is who is here. Miss Doodle checked in. Come on, there we go. Hello, Miss Doodle. Oh, I don't know if she's here yet, but in honor of Doodle, let me find it.
Ma'am, any reason you were pushing 90?
Southern Gal True Crime starts in 5 minutes. She's covering cold cases tonight.
Oh yeah? I love that channel.
Thanks, officer.
Oh dang, that lady was Doodle.
That is Miss Doodle's special video that I believe she made. She made 3 of them and sent to me the other day. Just hilarious. I love them. I love them. So every time Doodle is in the house, she's going to get her special video. Miss Paula's here. Welcome, Miss Paula. Good to see you, dear. Mustang is here. Hello, friend. Once again, I apologize. I'm working off the phone here, so let's see what I can do. Nice to see you too, Miss Paula. Boston Christian is here. Good to see you. And I am sweating up a storm already. Open the window to try to let some fresh air, cool air in, but the breeze that we had all day has apparently disappeared as soon as I open the window. Let's see. It's good to see everybody. There's Miss Avery. Hello, ma'am. How are you doing? Good to see you. I'll be frank. Good to see you. It's good to see everybody here. Butterfly Kisses. Welcome. Good to see you. Thank you. Yes. Do all the things. Miss Peggy. There's Miss Peggy. Good to see you. I hadn't seen you in a while. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. Everything was tangled up. All my wires are tangled up here. Good to see you, Miss Peggy. I hope you're doing well. There's Junior. Oh my gosh, I can't stop sweating. Good to see you, my friend. And he is in Michigan tonight. How's your weather in Michigan, Junior? How's everybody's weather? Speaking of weather, we were talking about earlier. Oh, went too far. I'll be frank, says it's Free Willy true crime. It could be. It could be. You know, I don't know if I've ever actually sat down and watched that whole movie. Didn't they make like how many did, I know they made what, Free Willy 2, I don't know how many they made. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but yeah, I guess it could be considered true crime. Yes, Miss Peggy made another live. We're always good to see Miss Peggy. Always good to see. It's always good to see Miss Peggy. We're always glad to see Miss Peggy. Thank you, Mustang is getting everybody's links in. I apologize for once again leaning in. I'm going to try one more time. I know it's probably not going to work to get StreamYard to come up on the computer. Oh, sorry to hear that. Miss Peggy said her week has been a bit insane. We are hoping things calm down. Well, I do hope things calm down for you. Absolutely. I don't know what kind of insanity you've been enduring, but we hope it gets better for you. Yeah, it just seems like it's been a long week here too. It's been a long week, but it's been a slow week at work. So I don't know. It's just like bits and pieces. You know, I managed to make the money I needed to make, but it took a while. Yeah, I know. Frank, I'll be frank, says I hate it when it says delete stuff. I know. I went and deleted everything. I didn't have a whole lot that I downloaded because most of the stuff that I download that I use for my, for YouTube, it's downloaded to my phone. But any pictures or I did have some documents downloaded on the computer. But it erased it took out all of those. And once it reset, it did update everything. But like I said, I could not I might try again tonight. I don't know. I'm still trying to get Google Chrome to download. But I think it's just StreamYard is just messed up because it's not coming up at all on my computer right now. So anyway, yeah, and so I don't know. And like I said, I'm not that technically savvy anyway. I can kind of make my way around the computer, but like I said, I deleted everything and then I did that reset, and it just, yeah. We hope everything is better for Miss Peggy. I just need to take my computer to my nephew. He could probably fix things just like that. These kids these days, they can do things a lot faster than I can. So is everybody ready for Halloween? Those of you who like Halloween, I love Halloween. Halloween's one of my favorite holidays. I'm ready. So it's next Friday, right? I believe. So I probably will do a live stream Friday night for Halloween, just something fun. I'll try to get together some spooky stuff, some maybe some haunted true crime locations, and for anybody who's not into the haunted paranormal stuff, you can feel, if you're free, you can still join us, have fun and chat. And a lot of times, because I do watch a lot of the ghost hunting shows, but I really enjoy because on most of the shows, at least at the beginning and sometimes throughout the show, they will give the history of the place that they're, going to be ghost hunting at. And I just like hearing the history of places, especially because just about all the ghost hunting shows go to like all the former, like what they call, the lunatic asylums, like Trans-Allegheny, and I can't think of them now. Just flew out of my head, but things like that. And I just love hearing the history of all those places. So anyway, it'll be fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. Like I said, if anything, because I believe everybody has to work this coming weekend, except for me. So I'll be bored and looking for something to do anyway. So why not hang out with y'all, whoever wants to join us, and have a little bit of fun on Halloween. All right. Getting caught up in comments, and we will get started. Yeah, that's what it did. I swear, because it was like more than breezy today. It was like windy, trying to work. I mean, it felt good. But yeah, as soon as and then I got home from work I came home early today because it was really slow today. So I got home about between 2:30 and 3 today. And it was still, the breeze was nice. And then as soon as I opened the window a while ago, nothing. You can see I'm sweating. I'm sweating. Anyway, enough of my bitching, my moaning and complaining. Yes, Miss Paula says it's nice to see everyone. Miss Avery says chilly mornings and nights. Yeah, supposedly it's supposed to start getting down to the 40s after this weekend when the rain comes through. So I'll be looking forward to that. Oh, Junior says it's been raining and cold. Ugh. Okay, so going back to Free Willy, Frank says they made 3. 2 were footage from the original of Kiko, the whale, and a 4th was made but is unrelated. Interesting. Sorry, everything's just can't get settled here tonight. Oh my goodness. Miss Peggy says the campground almost went up in flames again. We were ready to evacuate. Thankfully, the fire department got here quick. guy got arrested, a couple of charges. Oh, for starting the for the fire. Wow, that has to be terrifying. Fire. I am terrified of fire. Fire and water. Well, I hope most definitely things do get better. Yep, thank you. Mustang says if she missed anyone's channel link, let her know. Saver says she loves Halloween. I do too. I do too. And I have yet to watch the first horror movie yet. I mean, I watch horror year round, but especially during, usually as soon as October 1st hits, I really kick in on watching and rewatching horror movies. I haven't even watched because probably my favorite horror movie in general of all time is the original Halloween. I haven't even watched it yet. Oh, I'm so behind. I've been so busy trying to get caught up with getting things ready for tonight. I still have to get things ready for Sunday night. I'm going to be on with Josh on his channel where Lavender Grows. Don't forget Sunday night if you're free. If not, you can please watch replay. I'm going to be with Josh the Posh on his channel where Lavender Grows. Sunday 8 p.m. Central. We're going to be sharing some cold cases from the Southern Plains. I've got the ones I'm going to do. I have kind of a 2-for-1 from Oklahoma, and then one from New Mexico, and then Josh has some, I believe, from the Texas Panhandle. So I'm really looking forward. So I got to get my stuff ready for that, and then I have to get stuff ready for the Missing Person Monday live stream, which may possibly be moved to Tuesday. I'm still debating on that, depending on how long it takes me to get stuff ready, if I can get everything ready by Monday, which is looking kind of doubtful right now. Mustang says something is awesome. You people are awesome. You're very welcome, ma'am. I know that sounds like, Everett says, look, I'm menopausal, so I have the windows open and the AC at 60, wearing a hoodie, crying over my dress getting soggy. I know. I'm just sweating up a storm. And then I'll get a cold spell for about 2 minutes, and then I'll be sweating again. I'll be Frank says he's an orca nerd. Oh, the press. Oreo. Oh, the Oreos are okay. The Oreos are soggy. Oh yeah, I understand. Yes, the autocorrect. That reminds me of Dandy. Dandy says the autocorrect always gets her. So Miss Peggy says yes for the fire, possible arson, and endangerment of public. Didn't they charge somebody with that really with that really bad one of the really bad California fires that happened? I think they charged somebody with that. Thank you so much. I thought I hit it. Where'd it go? There it is. I'll be Frank. Thank you so much. She became a new member. Thank you so much. So you get the moo cow. Let me find her. Oh, where am I going? Wrong way. Thank you so much. Good to have you as a member. Appreciate it. Miss Peggy says, I love holidays. When my son was little, nieces and nephews haven't been into any holidays anymore for years. Yeah, I know. All our kids are grown now and having kids of their own. So we, but still, enjoy spending time with family during the holidays, things of that nature. So, Yep, I plan on it. As far as I know, I'll be able to do one. Like I said, because next weekend will be my mom's. Will be mom's weekend to work, so she won't be here. Who knows what my brother and that bunch is going to be doing? They probably something with the church. The church usually does trunk or treat, things of that nature. So I'll get on here with you guys. Goodness, feels like it's dripping. Anyway, I'll get on here with you guys, whoever wants to join us, and we'll have a little fun. Have a little Halloween spooky fun. All right, I promise. I'm just going to get caught up here and we'll get started. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. Miss Avery says they charged Jonathan. No, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the last name. Rendernecht from Florida for the Cali fires. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about. Hey, Patriotism, good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have you here. All right, so I think I'm caught up, so we will get started, get the slideshow up. So, like I said, being as it's the Halloween season, I came across this article. Actually, I came across this first article that I'm going to read, which so let me talk about how true crime is influenced or is linked to pop culture, which I've always found very interesting because I know a lot, not all, but a lot of people are into both true crime and like the horror genre, movies, books, TV, things of that nature. I know that's the way I am. Now I know are some people who may like or be into true crime, not so much the horror movies and stuff, or be into the horror movies and not true crime. But I just think there are, in my opinion, a good percentage of people who are into both. And to me, I don't think that's necessarily a coincidence, So I just have always found it fascinating and how true crime is in general, not just in the horror genre, but true crime in general is portrayed in pop culture through movies and TV shows and things. But like I said, since it's Halloween, almost Halloween, we're going to kind of look at it in the horror genre category. So I just found a few articles, but when I was, I forgot. I was trying to do thing on, hold on. But when I just looked up true crime and pop culture, and actually what gave me the idea too was just on my Google News feed, a article, a people.com article popped up about Halloween, the movie Halloween, the original, and, was it inspired by a real person, true stories or whatever. So that gave me the idea. Let me look for some other things, that are of that nature. So anyway, but then I came across this article from a professor from Cal State Fullerton. True crime and pop culture, a professor discovers connections. So I'm like, So I read it, and I think it had some very interesting points. I forgot to mark where I left off. Hold on. There we go. I thought it had made some very interesting points that I agreed with. So anyway, it's the articles from 2022, and all the articles I'm going to read from and use tonight are linked in the description box. So feel free to read them if you wish. So it says podcast playing in freeway traffic, star-studded movie cast, and TikTok dance challenges come together to mold true crime into entertainment, setting the stage for real-life monsters to take hold of American pop culture. For Adam Golub, a professor of American Studies at Cal State Fullerton, understanding the connections between true crime narratives and pop culture is about more than recognizing explicit references in songs, shows, and film. It's about understanding what these connections say about society's fears, anxieties, and their collective ability to cope with violence. So on that point, I think I would, when we were talking about a lot of the cases Monday, in the Missing Person Monday live stream, there's some rough cases that we went over Monday, and with some, just disturbing things that happened in the cases. And I made the comment that I can sit and watch, horror movies all day long, the gorier the better, and it doesn't bother me because I know it's not real, it's make believe, it's a movie. But then when you read some of the things that happen in these cases, these real life cases, and it just bothers me because it's real life. And I think kind of that's what he was saying about how we deal with the real stuff, fears, anxieties, how to cope with real violence as opposed to film violence, TV show violence, things of that nature, things you read in the book. So that's just the way I've always been. So he goes on to say, pop culture is a place where choices are made, choices about the stories we tell and the stories we don't tell, the people and events we remember and those we forget. Real criminals become part of our meme and remix culture, circulating with fictional characters and other types. And this can go, in this article, we can all think about it just in true crime and pop culture in general, not necessarily just the horror genre, especially when it comes to, I think here in a minute is going to be talking about how a lot of times nowadays we get our true crime news, or go, if we want to look for true crime news, we go to a social media, YouTube creators. I mean, honestly, I see a lot more as far as like missing persons and excuse me, homicide cases from YouTube and social media than is shown on the mainstream media. I mean, and I think he talks about it too, about the difference between what mainstream media shows as far as what they call true crime or crime, more of the white collar crimes, the mass incidents that happen, mass GSW incidents, what they call police violence, things of that nature is what they show on mainstream TV. Because honestly, when I'd been on YouTube for a while, but what brought me to YouTube to look for true crime stuff was when Idaho 4 happened. So on mainstream TV, when it happened, they had, a little blurb about it. And every once in a while, if there was an update, or something, they would have a little, 30-second thing about it. And I was like, I want to know more about what's going on. So that's when I turned to YouTube and found some creators and things that, I watched several different ones and say, okay, like I say, which ones to watch and which ones not to, I kind of stay there, or do stay away from the crama channels as they call it, and watch the ones that, give the most factual, unbiased information. But it's like mainstream media just doesn't cover. I'd never heard of Delphi before until I saw it on YouTube after I got on to look about Idaho 4 stuff. I never heard about Evansdale. I never heard about the Flora 4. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It just, for some reason, mainstream media just doesn't cover those kinds of things. Maybe, like I said, if a trial starts, or like the last thing I heard about, Koberger was when they did the plea deal. Hadn't heard anything about that from that on mainstream TV until he, they show, of course, when he got arrested, and then not really anything else. And then all of a sudden we're showing the plea deal, which I'd already known about from watching stuff on YouTube because they don't show it on mainstream media. But anyway, please let me know what you guys think. If you agree or disagree, or indifferent. Okay, let me. Lost my place. So Golub recently published his research in the journal Crime Fiction Studies with a foreword titled Criminal Crossovers, to illustrate the mixing and remixing of true crime narratives into pop culture. Golub opens his essay with an analysis of a TikTok dance trend from 2020 called Cannibal Challenge, which was inspired by Kesha's 2010 song Cannibal. Now, I don't listen to that kind of music, so I have no idea what the song is. But anyway, so the song's reference to Jeffrey Dahmer illustrates how pop culture works in contradicting ways, both introducing consumers to crime and simultaneously undermining it with surface level references or with surface level references. So Golub says pop culture can potentially keep us informed about certain crimes, so much so that we can become our own experts on, like Dahmer, Charles Manson. It doesn't necessarily challenge us to come to terms with these horrors. And I think that's another good point, kind of what I was saying about you kind of, you see the memes. I don't know how many, serial offender memes that I've seen, usually with either Bundy, Dahmer, Manson, something funny instead of, just the horror that they caused. So Golub's research found that pop culture features serial offenders, husbands who took the lives of their wives, or celebrity offenders. Each narrative sprinkled with an element of, how could this happen, with the celebrities or, family members taking the lives of other family members. The people in these narratives are almost always from a wealthier class. So true crime has held public interest for over 200 years, starting with the penny press and tabloid journalism in the 19th century, followed by magazines, books, films, television reenactments in the 20th century, and more recently, the rise of the digital age has redefined true crime content. Popular streaming platforms like Netflix retell infamous stories with star-studded films, including Zac Efron's portrayal of Ted Bundy in the 2019 film Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, which I still have not watched yet. Combined with famous TV series like American Horror Story. I love American Horror Story. And I do have an article talking about all the real life serial offenders that they have featured in a lot of the seasons. I think they're up to season 12 right now. I've watched the first 9 seasons. But they feature several real life serial offenders, real life things that have happened in the, like Madame LaLaurie, a lot of stuff from one season was called Coven. I think it was the 3rd season. It's probably my favorite season. It was set in New Orleans. It was about a coven of witches, and it featured a Madame LaLaurie and the horrible things that she did, which we'll talk about when we get to that's where we talk about American Horror Story. And the voodoo, Madame Laveau, Marie Laveau, and things of that nature. But anyway, so with the TV series like American Horror Story, pop culture provides consumers with narratives that are constantly evolving to create new storylines. But despite the apparent overflow of true crime into pop culture, he clarifies that not all crime is remixed equally. Stories that don't make the jump to the pop culture landscape create silences that speak to society's unwillingness to confront certain issues of violence. So it says, in this way, pop culture can serve as an archive of discomfort, a record of the absence of reckoning, an individual register of the crossovers that never occur. As much as true crime diffuses American pop culture, it haunts it, and the silences that might show us what's really at stake here. So despite this history, he said that the criteria that makes true crime stories eligible for crossover could change in the future, especially in the light of the pandemic and the recent shifts in social media. So he says the key will be whether everyday Americans can learn about and analyze these issues deeply enough in a sophisticated, sense-based way, and then communicate their perspective in more than a meme or a soundbite. Golub's research will continue to unfold next spring in his Introduction to American Pop Culture class. where he will teach students about the intersections between true crime and fandom. See, that's another thing that I've never understood, where you kind of, in my opinion, where some people kind of cross the line. I want to be careful how I say this. I mean, you can be interested in true crime, interested in studying up and learning, researching about serial offenders and things of that nature. But when you have people who actually become fans, and they have what they call the murderabilia, where people actually buy stuff from, like, I mean, what, maybe was it John Wayne Gacy had some somebody had drawings that they were just anything that's connected to any serial offender, any big true crime case, people will buy. And it's just, and to me, that's just kind of, I mean, it's just my opinion. To me, that's just kind of just a little bit much, just a little much. But anyway, so Golub goes on to say, increasingly, pop culture is something that is created by everyday people, by fans and influencers rather than corporations. And that's the shift. Like, it's like I was saying, most of my true crime news I get from YouTube or social media, from the right places, and not from mainstream media. So there has been a shift, I think, for the past few years about how people get their news in general. They're going more away from the mainstream media and turning to social media, to content creators. So he says, given this power of pop culture, it's important to know why true crime is a story that holds so much sway over us, and to understand how we talk about true crime and how we don't talk about it. And, here we try to do it, which, granted, this is a little bit different than what we usually cover. The missing persons and the cold cases, but yeah, it's how you do it the right way or the wrong way. You guys know what I'm talking about. Or you do it for the right reasons or the wrong reasons. So it's just, we all know we have to be very, very careful where you get your information. Look at a variety of sources, see what makes more sense to you about what people are saying. But anyway, all right, Lord, turn my camera off for a minute. Oh, no, we'll get caught up in your comments, and let me get the next article. Hopefully it will load. All right. No, I won't be streaming tomorrow night. Nope. I will be next Friday for Halloween. Oh, that's fine, Miss Peggy. You can always catch replay. She says she's going to have a conflict on Halloween. Another creator is doing a game, kind of like the game Clue. Ooh, I love the game Clue. I haven't played Clue in a long time. Yeah, Mustang says, I agree. Look how many Charles Manson movies have been made. Absolutely. And one we're going to talk about tonight, Ed Gein. There's actually been, well, not as far as movies made about him, but as far as horror movies that have based characters, whether very loosely based on Ed Gein, he is like the #1 inspiration for a lot of horror movie characters. And we'll talk about that once again when we get to that one. But yeah, and he wasn't really a serial offender. He only admitted to or only killed 2 women, but he was more of a grave robber and just a weirdo. But yeah, he is the inspiration for lots and lots of characters. Oh, that sounds awesome. Miss Peggy says 6 suspects. Each gives a clue every day. We're supposed to try to figure out the red rumor. Ooh, You might have to let me know what's the name of that channel. I might have to check that out. Yeah, Miss Paula says I could see some of Ed Gein and some of the characteristics of Michael Myers. Absolutely. Frank said the stocky type standing in the background. Saber said this is actually so true. I don't know which comment you're talking about, but at least maybe I'm making some kind of sense tonight. I don't know. There's my friend Josh. Hey Josh, how are you doing, sir? Were your ears burning? I was talking about you earlier, talking about our live stream Sunday night. I'm looking forward to it. Goodness gracious. Might have to shut the window. Anyway, good to see you, Josh, and I'm looking forward to once again being on Josh's live stream on his channel with him Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central. Going to share some cold cases, but it's good to see you, friend. I hope you're doing well. Yep, Miss Paula says, look at Stranger Things with both the Montauk Project and the West Memphis 3 case. Absolutely. I have an article that you're going to like, Miss Paula, coming up. There's some Sunday Doodles. Good to see you. Who are you talking about? Frank, Albie Frank says he's innocent. They forced him to sign, blah, blah. Who are you talking about? I've been running my mouth so much and talking about so many different things. I get lost sometimes in the comments. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. Miss Peggy says it is crazy wrong that more social media people are sharing cold case and missing people than mainstream media. I know. The only missing persons now I can say that our local networks here in Arkansas and Central Arkansas, they are very good about at least doing like giving the basic information on missing persons, missing children. They will do it on their newscast. I get a notification from the local news station that I watch the most here. I have their app, and every time I'll get a notification when they do put anything out about a missing person, whether it be just it doesn't have to be an Amber Alert or a Silver Alert. It could just be a missing, endangered. So they are good about that. But as far as national media, I never hear anything about missing persons. Any cases that we talk about is high profile here on YouTube, like Idaho 4, Delphi, things, big ones that have come up. You never see anything. Never see anything. And it is sad. It is very sad. That's why, and I don't even watch a lot of mainstream news. I may watch some of the local news just to see if anything, crazy is going on here in the state that I hadn't heard about or whatever. And check to see what the weather's going to be. But as far as that, I don't watch a lot of news. Yes, I'm gonna have to watch that one. Miss Avery says there's a new Murdaugh series on Hulu. I know I saw a commercial for it on TV. I'm like, I'm gonna have to watch that one because I do have Hulu. Well, I guess Disney Plus has bought Hulu, so everything that which we have through our phone plan, actually through Verizon, we have a special package where we get a Disney Plus, a Hulu, and ESPN Plus for very, very cheap. So we just split the cost and we all share have access to it. So yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that one. Miss Dunn says she loves American Horror Story. I love American Horror Story. And for anybody, who has never watched American Horror Story, it's It's what they call an anthology series, which is it's a different storyline every season, but they use a lot of the same actors in every season. Obviously, they play different characters and they have a different storyline. Like I said, the probably my favorite season was, I think it was season 3 when they did Coven, which was the one set in New Orleans. I can't remember which season it was, but they did one. It was Hotel, and it was set at the Cecil Hotel, which is a very famous. Richard Ramirez stayed there. A lot of, I think that's where the Alyssa Lamb a case happened. Just lots of weird things, true crime related, happened at the Cecil Hotel. So they did and we'll talk about that when we get to American Horror Story. That whole season is the one where they featured a lot of serial offenders. Really, really good season. But I think they are, like I said, I think they're up to 12. I've watched the first 9. So I've got to watch 10, 11, and 12, and I'll be caught up. Along with everything else that I'm so behind. Yep, Miss Paula says Scream and all the movies in that franchise with their commentary mentions true crime references. Scream 1 was based on a true story, inspired a real case. Absolutely. Oh, I forgot about Scream. I was going to look that one up too. I love the original. The first one I absolutely love. I could watch it over and over. 2 was pretty good. I can't remember now how many they've made. Miss Paula, you'll have to remind me how many they've made. But yeah, I like the Scream franchise. That is true. Mustang says social media is just as bad sometimes as other media. Yeah, that's why I say we all know. Basically, if we want to get true, factual, unbiased, non-drama information about a case, we kind of learn which channels or creators to watch and which ones not to watch. So yeah, I agree. But at least social media does cover it. Like I said, I absolutely do not agree with the Krama channels, the ones that are just, but if you can find really good channels that, like I said, cover it, non-biased, factual information, I get more out of that than, mainstream. Josh says, I'll turn my camera off. I feel like I'm leaning, my big fat face is the camera. Josh says, my town made news when the Dahmer doc came out, when a local pizza chain made a Dahmer pizza with some interesting sausage shape. Oh my goodness. I think I might have remembered reading about that or hearing about that, because the Dahmer pizza sounds very familiar. Sorry, slurping on my straw there. Oh my goodness, I can just imagine. Oh goodness. Yeah. Did they get in trouble for it? I mean, I don't know if there's anything they could do about it, but Miss Peggy says she remembers that. Paul says, whatever happened to that pizza? Okay, cool. Miss Peggy says the channel with the game is Trialville. Awesome. I will have to definitely check it out. He says we watch Trials, and he has 7 cats we get to watch. Oh, the kitty cats! I'm telling you, Little Biscuit. Of course, he's not. No cat is normal anyway, but he's extra because of his near-death experience. Kind of messed him up a little bit. He ain't all there sometimes. I mean, he can take care of himself. He's fine, but we just have to keep him in the house. I don't know if he would make it outside by himself. But anyway, good Lord, he was wound up. He likes to climb. I think he thinks he's part monkey or something, but he tries to climb up on top of my door. He tries to climb up my green screen that I got tacked up. But he was wild last night. He was wild this morning. He about drove me crazy. But anyway. Miss Peggy says she's been able to watch some of American Horror Story. Yeah, and then they have, I think, maybe standalone episodes. It's called American Horror Stories. I haven't watched any of those yet. So there's 5 already. Miss Paula says same here, and they say 6 and 7 are coming out next year. Yeah, I think after about the first 2 or 3, I kind of tuned out on them because I just kind of got a little, you know. Oh, Josh says he thinks I got sued over the pizza. I would think so. Who you talking about, Miss Avery? Says what happened to him. And Miss Peggy says it can be hard to find good channels. I've tried many channels, dumped me and me too. But I do find the great channels like, oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, were you talking about my kitty Biscuit? Okay, so we live on a farm, and people like to, when you live out on a farm or out in the country, people unfortunately, horrible human beings like to, dump off animals. So being on a farm and, being out in the middle of nowhere, well, not, we're not out in the boonies, but far enough out where, people like to dump animals, dogs, cats, whatever, mostly cats. So we always have, right now, I think we have 5 cats outside. And we try to get them, fixed. But some, it's expensive. So one cat that's been, mama cat that's been out here for a while, she had a litter of cats. And you know how cats like to get up in like around the motors of cars or vehicles. Well, apparently, when their litter, they were probably not even a year old yet. He apparently got up in under the Tahoe, drove to work. It had rained a lot that day, and apparently, in the parking lot where we're parked at, it had rained so much that a puddle form was underneath the vehicle, the Tahoe. So apparently he either fallen out. So he rode from somewhere in the undercarriage from the house to work. And apparently at some point he either climbed down or fell out and basically drowned. And somebody happened to see him and brought him in. And so we brought him home. I didn't think he was going to make it. But we did the best we could, to keep him comfortable if he didn't make it or whatever. But he made it. After 3 days, he started, he woke back up and was eating and doing all normal things. So we think he may have a little bit of brain things going on. But as far as, he can take care of himself. And I don't think, so that's what happened to him. So he's been an inside cat since then. He can groom himself, he can eat, he can go to the bathroom, he can do all the things a normal cat does, but I think he just has some misfires sometimes, maybe from lack of oxygen to the brain. So that's what happened to him. So that is Little Biscuit's story. But yeah, he's just a wild kid, and he's only a little bit over a year old now. Well, maybe a year and a half old. He's just a little wild child. He's a little toddler, so he loves to climb. He'll climb on top of the doors, and cats like to climb anyway. But he's like extra when it comes to climbing. So anyway, that is Little Biscuit's story. But he's, like I said, other than I think a little bit of misfires sometimes, he can take care of himself. We just keep him in the house so we can keep an eye on him. Because sometimes he don't have a lot of sense. Yeah, like I said, he's fine. He's fine. And he likes to bully Tigger, Tigger's probably he's probably about 9 years old now. So he's old and grumpy. So the young one likes to aggravate, be a bully to the older one. So they get into the little slap fights and stuff. But anyway, I'm with you. Miss Avery says, I love animals more than I do people. I know. I can get you there. Sometimes I'd rather be around animals than people. Yep, me too, Miss Peggy. Miss Peggy says, people dumping pets makes me so angry. I know. Yep, so we just, we can't obviously bring them all in the house, but we give them food, water, make sure they have shelter outside. So, and they're happy. They're happy. So, and they know that they're loved by somebody. Yep, Sunday says Biscuit is adorable. Yeah, he's a little adorable little demon cat. Oh no, he can be so sweet when he's sleeping because he gets like upside down. How cats get upside down and all twisted up when they sleep, and it's so cute. And then I'm wanting to cuss him at 3 o'clock in the morning when he's running wild. Oh my goodness. Miss Avery says, we had someone here who threw baby kittens all around town tied up in Walmart. Oh my God. I was so mad. I cried. A bunch of us bottle fed them. I know. To me, people who hurt animals are just as bad as people who hurt other people. It's just makes me so mad. All right. I think I am caught. Avery says, I have 4 miniature pinscher Chihuahua mix. No cats though. Yeah, people don't so much dump dogs off anymore. But yeah, it's cats. It just seems like cats get dumped. All right, I think we're caught up. So we'll see what. Right. So Zodiac obviously has been featured a lot in pop culture. Let me wipe my face off one more time. I swear I can't quit sweating. I think I felt either the air conditioner came on or a little bit of breeze just came in the window. Right. So Zodiac, obviously, like I was saying, has been a lot of movies have been made about Zodiac. A lot of TV shows. Oh, I love. What was the one? I think it was called Zodiac. David Duchovny was in it. I watched that one when it was on. It didn't solely, if I remember correctly, it's been so long since it was on. Didn't focus solely on Zodiac, but it kind of happened set in the time frame of when Zodiac was active. I think that's what it was called. No, I know David Duchovny was in it. Somebody can remind me if that's what it was called. But anyway, some things. So the Zodiac, for anybody who doesn't know, was a serial offender. He operated in Northern California from at least the late 1960s to the early 1970s. His identity remains unknown to this day. Of course, there are Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal was in the movie. Okay, so there was a movie called Zodiac. I'm going to have to look up the TV show. Give me 1 minute. Let me get through this. I'll look up the TV show. Don't let me forget. Of course, obviously, with Zodiac, there are a lot of theories about who Zodiac is. So his crimes, letters, and cryptograms to police and newspapers inspired many movies, novels, television, and more. So just some reference, that I can't talk as usual. So some movies, TV shows that have inspired the Zodiac Killer came out in 1971. Released when he was still active. It was directed by Tom Hansen, starred Hal Reed and Bob Jones. I've not seen that one. And apparently there is I don't know if I'll get in trouble on YouTube for saying this, a porno horror film, which is loosely based on the Zodiac. John Holmes was in it. Did not know that. There's surely a bit of information for the night. I don't know if this is let me check right quick. Yeah, the Clint Eastwood movie. I never knew this, and I've watched this movie. Dirty Harry was released in 1971. Also, while the Zodiac was still active, was loosely based on the Zodiac case. It featured a serial offender who called himself Scorpio, which is, of course, obviously is a Zodiac sign, who at one point kidnaps a school bus full of children, mirroring the real Zodiac's threat to GSW children on the school bus. The Exorcist 3, which came out in 1990, has a character named the Gemini Killer, loosely based on Zodiac. A lot of these I haven't heard of. Disguised Killer came out in 2000, a short film. It's based on the Lake Herman Road homicides. Looks like they can come up with some more. So another one called The Zodiac Killer came out in 2005. It features a nursing home employee who begins copycatting Zodiac, angering the original offender, who is revealed to be a member of a moralistic secret society and who has been living under the guise of Zodiac expert Simon Vale. Curse of the Zodiac came out in 2007, a loose retelling of the original crimes. Zodiac, another one just called Zodiac, came out in 2007, based on two nonfiction books by Robert Graysmith, Zodiac and Zodiac Unmasked, The Identity of America's Most Elusive Serial Offender. Seven Psychopaths came out in 2012, has a Zodiac Killer make a brief appearance in a flashback. Awakening the Zodiac came out in 2017. The Batman apparently features a version of the Riddler based on the Zodiac with a similar costume symbol and the use of a Halloween greeting card to taunt individuals. I don't think I've watched that Batman. I got to get caught up on my Batman movies. Then it's got a lot of music and songs. It's influenced television. So the Zodiac case forms the basis for the Mikado, a second season installment of the television series Millennium. Maybe Millennium. Maybe that's what I was thinking about. The episode featured a fictionalized version of Zodiac. I watched a show. I watched Millennium. I don't think that's the one I'm thinking about. The show Psych. I loved Psych. Has a recurring serial offenders, yin and yang. Crimes bear similarity to the Zodiac. Yes, she was played by Ali Sheedy. I love Ali Sheedy. She was good in that role. Seeing ones. An episode of The Medium featured a character based on Zodiac. So there's just a lot of. It was featured in an episode of a series of American Horror Story. I still haven't found that one with David Duchovny that I was thinking about. I have to look it up. Get caught up in your comments. Ever says what? The show with Anton Rogers, like from the 70s. I don't know. All right, Josh. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. I feel like everything's all wacky here. I will definitely get in touch with you. Josh, she's probably already gone. I'll get in touch with you before Sunday to get everything worked out for our live stream. Okay, so Miss Paula says it was Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr., and Mark Ruffalo were in Zodiac. Yeah, the movie. Yeah. Miss Avery says, I know absolutely nothing about the Zodiac. As Peggy says, sorry. Says, yep, seen the Clint Eastwood one. See, and I never realized that Dirty Harry was, loosely based on the Zodiac. A BTK movie that was good. Creepy trivia about me. I share a birthday with BTK. I think you've mentioned that before. Yep. Very creepy. That's all right. Savory says, what is the Zodiac's real name? Nobody knows. Zodiac has not been identified to this day. I said there's a lot of, just look up Zodiac Killer, and there have been lots of theories. None of the names pop into my head right now about who the Zodiac was. There have been a lot of theories about who it was, but nothing has ever been proven. Yeah. All right. Let me look up that. It's going to drive me crazy until I think of the name of that show. Let's see. Let me check Wikipedia. Hopefully it won't take too long to load. Let's see. Television. Aquarius. That was the name of the show. Aquarius. That was the name of it. It came out in 2015. Aquarius is an American period crime drama television series created by John McNamara that aired on NBC from May 28th, 2015 to September 10th, 2016. It is set in 1967 Los Angeles. The series explores the intersection of historical and fictional narratives, focusing on real-life figures and events while incorporating fictional characters and stories. The show primarily follows LAPD detective Sam Hodiak, who is played by David Duchovny. Or maybe it was Manson, who investigates the rise of Charles Manson and the infamous Manson family. The plot delves into themes of crime, counterculture, social upheaval during the turbulent 60s. For some reason, I was thinking about Zodiac. But anyway, it was Manson. Aquarius received positive reviews. Yeah, so that was the show I was trying to think of. It was a good show. Very good show, in my opinion. All right, let me get this next article loading. Okay, so next we're going to talk about American Horror Story. Check your comments one more time. Yeah, Ms. Paula says they had a suspect, but he was never arrested. Yeah, I said there have been several theories that just people, armchair sleuths and some professionals, quote professionals, have about who Zodiac is, but nothing has ever been proven positively. All right, so this article is from Screen Rant. Every serial offender on American Horror Story. So this won't take a whole lot of time, but anyway, so Ryan Murphy's highly successful horror television series, American Horror Story, never misses the opportunity to include a real life serial offender, no matter the season's setting. And from season one's Murder House to its most recent season 9 in 1984, there's never a dull moment when America's most heinous criminals make a guest appearance. Get rid of the ads. Throughout the show's run, one episode in particular sticks out as having the most serial offenders. Season 5, which was Hotel, that was the one that I was talking about earlier. It takes place at the Cecil Hotel, or what it's called, the Hotel Cortez in the season, but it's based on the Cecil Hotel. So it was episode 4 called Devil's Night. The owner of the Hotel Cortez, James March, who I believe was played by Evan Peters, is that his last name? Invites his fellow offenders to attend a dinner known as Devil's Night. Those in attendance are Richard Ramirez, and I'm telling you, I don't know if they used the same actor. It was a different season. It was the one kind of reminded me of Friday the 13th. It was set at, I think that's what it was based on, set at a summer camp. Sorry, spoiler alert for anybody who has it. I'm not going to give away anything, but the Richard Ramirez shows up in that one too, and the actor they had that played him looks so much like the real person. It was literally scary. But anyway, so those in attendance on this episode were Richard Ramirez, Eileen Wuornos, John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and Zodiac. It is the most blatant American horror story has ever been when depicting serial offenders. While Devil's Night sticks out for many true crime and horror fans, the series features even more notorious and sinister offenders in historically accurate yet dramatized ways. In season 3, which was Coven, one set in New Orleans about the witches, episode 6, the Axeman Cometh begins in 1919 with the homicides caused by the Axeman of New Orleans. The Axeman was portrayed by Danny Houston. He was, and the Axeman this was based on actual crimes. He was known for unaliving people with an axe when then they did not play jazz music on the night that he requested. So that was in the show. The real Axeman was never caught or identified. His crimes were rumored to have started as early as 1911, but are commonly dated from the spring of 1918 to the fall of 1919. So it says the series depiction of the criminal is accurate, except for the episodes that follow. The fate of the real Axeman is unknown. And I forgot what they did to him in the show. It's been a while since I watched season 3. So also in season 3, Coven, they featured Madame Delphine Lalaurie, who was portrayed by Kathy Bates. That's another thing I love about American Horror Story. They have their core regular actors, but they have so many special guest actors that make appearances. And Kathy Bates, she was in at least 2 seasons. But she played Madame Lalaurie in season 3. So the real Madame Delphine Lalaurie was a New Orleans socialite and the notorious unaliver of Black people that she kept as slaves, that she tortured them ruthlessly. And this is based, I've read about the real crimes. Horrible, evil person. So she tortured them ruthlessly without cause. Coven captures the brutality of Lalaurie in season 3, episode 1, but does not include that the real Madame Lalaurie escaped to France before she could be punished by an angry mob, as they depicted in the show, who subsequently burned her mansion to the ground. In season 3, Lalaurie's family are hung from trees outside of her home. She is buried alive on the grounds of her mansion. This never happened in real life. She actually died in Paris in 1849 of unknown causes. So in season 5, Hotel, Eileen Wuornos is portrayed by Lily Rabe. The same season, episode 4, Devil's Night, that we were talking about earlier. She is adamant about her hatred of men while supporting her iconic hair and clothing style. Wuornos was known for distrusting men due to being the survivor of various assaults at the hands of those she had known, as well as strangers. Of course, she was arrested for the homicides of 7 men in Florida that occurred from 1989 to 1990. And then Zodiac. The Zodiac is one of America's most elusive serial offenders who, to this day, once again, has never been caught or identified. He was known for his letters that were written entirely in cryptograms. The amount of people that he took the lives of in the 1960s and 70s is unknown, but he once claimed to have taken the lives of 37 people. His case remains open at the California Department of Justice. He is one of the attendees at the Devil's Night episode. During the dinner, he does not say a word or reveal his face. In the show, he has got the that iconic, like you've seen the drawing. Like I had, let's see if I can go back. I don't know if I can go back. Of that's what he's depicted wearing in the show. That sketch with the mask and then the black clothing with the symbol on it. So he during the dinner, he does not say a word. He does not reveal his face. He isn't an ominous figure present at the dinner table, just as he was for many families who are afraid for their lives during the apex of his crime spree. During season 7, which was called Cult, one storyline suggested that the Zodiac killings were perpetrated by Valerie Solanas, the woman who apparently GSW'd Andy Warhol, and her female followers. American Horror Story has also featured John Wayne Gacy. He was introduced in Hotel that season. Introduced American history's most vile offender, John Wayne Gacy. He was known for dressing as a clown, performing at children's hospitals. He abducted and took the lives of young boys and men who he would then SA. He was active from 1972 to 1978. He appears in the episode Devil's Night wearing his infamous clown makeup and proudly proclaims that his crimes while discussing the intricacies of hiding a dead body and running a business. When Gacy was arrested, the police discovered 26 bodies underneath the house, a fact that is mentioned during this episode on American Horror Story. It is an uncanny and accurate depiction of the notorious, easy for me to say, offender. So Richard Ramirez also featured in the Devil's Night episode of Hotel, or his first. He was on there the character was on there more than once. His first was during the Devil's Night dinner in season 5. The second was in AHS 1984. That's the one set in the summer camp as one of the main offenders. From 1984 to 1985, Ramirez gained the nickname the Night Stalker due to his elusiveness, as well as how he preyed on his victims. He stalked them, broke into their homes, assaulted them, took their lives. In AHS 1984, the women of the camp are fearful that they will become his next victim, painting the picture of what many women experienced in 1984 and 85. AHS's depictions of Ramirez are true to his character. They'll get some of the history wrong. However, Ramirez was known to be highly charismatic and a womanizer, which Ryan Murphy, who created the show, captured flawlessly, they say. They also featured Jeffrey Dahmer, of course, once again in Devil's Night episode. In the episode, Jeffrey Dahmer sits menacingly and awkwardly at the table among his fellow serial offenders. Dahmer, we know, was known for kidnapping, cannibalism. His homicides occurred between 1978 to 1991 with a total of 17 victims. When he is introduced during the Devil's Night dinner, the other attendees warn against sitting near him if someone is male and doesn't want to be eaten. It is true that all of his victims were men. He most notably essayed his victims both while they were alive and post-mortem. AHS's depictions of Dahmer is indicative of who he was in real life, and the actor Seth Gable played him. Looks remarkably similar to Dahmer. He does. I wish I could get StreamYard to work on my computer so I could share the screen for this article, because it has pictures of all the actors in the character. So American Horror Story has featured also a lot of cult leaders. Evan Peters, who is one of the cast or the show regulars, went above and beyond in season 7, a cult. He portrayed 4 of the world's most nefarious leaders: Manson, Jim Jones, Marshall Applewhite, and David Koresh. They were all distinct in their leadership and crimes. In season 7, episode 9, Drink the Kool-Aid, Peters appears as Jim Jones. Marshall Applewhite and David Koresh. Jim Jones became famous, of course, for the Jonestown. For the flavor aid, commonly referred to as Kool-Aid, they put cyanide in. He and the 918 members of his cult, including approximately 300 children. I just cannot imagine 918 people. It's been a long time since I've delved into Jim Jonestown. His commune in Guyana was named Jonestown, and the mass incident became known as the Jonestown Massacre. And in the show, Peters is shown drinking the flavor aid as the cult leader. He also portrayed Marshall Applewhite, who ran Heaven's Gate. He also orchestrated a mass incident, self-harm, in 1997. He was a religious figure who believed in the involvement of extraterrestrials. Weren't they the ones that was it the Hellbop comment? One of the comments they thought were gonna, take them away. So they thought the involvement of extraterrestrials who would provide those who committed to his ideology with new bodies. As of 2020, the Heaven's Gate website was still up and running. Peters reenacted some of Applewhite's most famous videos where he coerced people to join the cult. Of course, we have David Koresh, who was the leader of the British Davidians, the whole Waco thing. Davidians believed that they would be used as tools for God and that they would create a Davidic kingdom. Koresh was one of the most noteworthy members due to his leadership. The final cult leader portrayed by Evan Peters in season 7, episode 10, Charles Manson in charge. While Charles Manson believed he was innocent because his followers committed the crimes, he did orchestrate the brutal homicide of actress Sharon Tate, who was pregnant at the time. Peters captures his bizarre behavior and facial expressions, as well as his attempts to distance himself from his crimes, while preaching to the members of his cult, who were known as the Manson family. We know this. Throughout the entirety of American Horror Story, Ryan Murphy has never shied away from including some of America's most nefarious offenders, and likely will find new ones to include in future seasons. So yeah, like I said, if you like, I know some people commented that you have watched American Horror Story, but if you're into those kind of shows, if you've never watched American Horror Story, I definitely recommend it. Definitely recommend it. In my opinion, very good. One of my favorite, probably one of my favorite shows, anthology series of all time. You get caught up in your comments right quick. They said that's interesting. Yeah, Miss Peggy says Zodiac was creepy good. Never figured out who it was. Yeah, I remember watching that one. Yeah, because when Miss Paula said Jake Gyllenhaal, I remember. Yep, I watched the movie. Oh, Mustang says she watched Aquarius. It was good. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't think of the name of it. I knew it had to do with. I was thinking Zodiac, but no, it was the Manson. Yeah, set during in the 60s. But yeah, love that show. I'm gonna have to check my streaming services I have and see if it's streaming on anything I have, so I can go back and rewatch. I like to do that with shows that, I watched 10, 15 years ago. Go back and rewatch the series. Oh, you're going to be down there a while. Miss Avery says, now I'm going to go down a whole rabbit hole in the Zodiac. Oh, you'll be down there. We'll send you some. We'll leave breadcrumbs so we can find you. We'll send you down some food and water. All Oh, that's okay. Miss Avery says, never watched American Horror Story. I'm removing my true crime queen crown. Well, American Horror Story is more horror genre than true crime. It kind of mixes, but it's more horror. But yeah, if you like horror, definitely watch it. Check it out. Yes, Zodiac is a very deep rabbit hole. Um, there's Miss Doodle. She made it back. Hold on. Hold on.
Ma'am, any reason you were pushing 90?
Southern Gal True Crime starts in 5 minutes. She's covering cold cases tonight.
Oh yeah? I love that channel.
Thanks, officer.
Oh dang, that lady was Doodle.
Oh my God, I have to do that. I played it earlier when you checked in. And Miss Doodle, I believe, made that herself. She made 3 of them. I might have to download the other 2 so I can use those too. Good to see you, Miss Doodle. We love our Doodle. Oh, dang, hold on. Everything jumped again. Wow, a bunch of people showed up. Thank you, guys. What did I do? Goodness gracious. Hold on. A whole buttload of comments just downloaded on me. Goodness gracious. Okay, there I was. Goodness. Everything jumped. Everybody saying hi to Doodle. Miss Paula, I think you would like American Horror Story. I know you like horror stuff. And wasn't it Evan Peters that played Jeffrey Dahmer in the monster Netflix series thingamabobber? That's the technical word for that, by the way. I think it was Evan Peters. I'm not sure. Somebody might have to fact check me on that one, but I think it was. And Evan Peters is a recurring actor in American Horror Story seasons. Thank you, Miss Doodle is getting everybody's links in, channel links in. Thank you so much, ma'am. My one arm's getting tired. I'm gonna have to switch to my other arm here. Once again, I'm working off my phone tonight. Hey, share your link. Share your link. Thank you. I couldn't remember his name. Miss Paula said the only publicly named suspect in the Zodiac case was Arthur Allen Lee. Miss Avery says, I see Eileen Warnos's picture. Always felt bad for her. Yeah, to an extent. I mean, but she did have a hard life. Horrible things happened to her. But, I mean, just because horrible things happen to you doesn't give you the right to go out and do horrible things to other people. But I see where you're coming from, Miss Avery. Yeah, Miss Peggy, you better eat something, ma'am. We had pork chops and rice for supper tonight. It was very good. Oh, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. It's just fresh out of the, well, I think it's almost dry now. Because I don't blow dry my hair. Because for one, it's not good for your hair. And 2, my hair is so, even when it's short, it's so thick that I just don't have the patience to blow dry it. But thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. Y'all don't be afraid to share your own links. Ain't no shame in it. But I'm the same way though. If I'm in other, like in Dave's chat or anybody else's that drops other creators' links. I won't drop my own link. I'll drop everybody else's links, but I won't do my own. So I understand. See, I don't have Peacock. Welcome, Sleuthy Sweetheart. Miss Stormy says Peacock just released a Gacy series. It's really good. I'm already done. Man, I don't have Peacock. It's one of the streaming services I don't have. Make sure it's see who else has snuck in on me. Once again, I'm gonna turn my camera off while I'm reading. I feel like my face is right in the camera. Miss Stormy likes American Horror Story. She said, I'm assuming you're talking about that. Oh yeah, I haven't seen all the AHS seasons. I've only seen the first 2, I think. Yeah, my favorite ones so far, like I said, I watched the first 9. I haven't watched 10, 11, and 12 yet. So I think they're up to season 12 now. Was season 3, A Coven, which is the one with the witches set in New Orleans, and then whatever season was it, season 5, I said, the hotel, where it was called the Hotel Cortez, but it was based on the Hotel Cecil, the Cecil Hotel. And then 1984, which is based on Friday the 13th. I forgot which season one that was. Those are probably my 3 favorites of the ones that I've watched. Like I said, I haven't watched the last 3. So yeah, I thought that was him. Stormy said Evan Peters did a great job playing Dahmer. Yeah, in the Netflix series. Yeah, that's on I still haven't watched because it's kind of all one. It's called Monster, and then they do a different different case or whatever, because the first one was Dahmer, the second one was Menendez, and then the third one, I don't know if it started yet, is Ed Gein. And I really want to watch that one. I have to watch all of them, but I really want to watch the Ed Gein. For one, I've always been fascinated with Ed Gein, and for 2, Charlie Hunnam is playing Ed Gein, and I love Charlie Hunnam. He was in he's been in a lot of things, but I know him from Sons of Anarchy, another one of my favorite shows of all time. So yeah, I've got so many things I've got to get caught up on. Really, I'm gonna have to go back. So Miss Paula says in the first episode of Stranger Things, there was a background actor that was dressed like Dahmer. It's been so long. I'm gonna have to go back because I know isn't the 5th season they're fixing to start, or I don't know if it's already started, the last season. I think I made it through the first 3 seasons, and then life happened, and I just have never revisited it yet. But I'm gonna have to go back and start all over because I really did enjoy the first 3 seasons. Yes, it was absolutely awful. I said it's been a long time since I've delved into Jonestown. Hey, Julie, good to see you, my dear. See, lots of people have snuck in on me while I was reading. Oh, Miss Stormy says, I've got footage of the Branch Davidian on my YouTube shorts all the way at the beginning. I've been twice to the church. There's a few trailers, a small church, and the pool is still there. Oh, man. I bet it would be creepy to go. Just thinking about Waco just sends chills down my spine. Horrible. And I've been to, I don't know if I ever, now I drove through, I don't know how close we drove through the panhandle of Texas going to Arizona. I can't remember exactly where Waco is in Texas, but I remember seeing a sign for the exit on 40 when we went and drove by it. But I don't know, I could probably visit it because I have visited I've visited Shanksville, where one of the 9/11 plane went down. We did that on one of the tours we did with Little Rock Tours. I've been to the Murrah Building, the Memorial, Oklahoma City. At the beginning of 1st of December, we're taking a trip with New York, or with the Little Rock Tours to New York. And I'm hoping, I don't know if it's on the schedule, that if we have any free time, I can go down to the One World Trade Center memorial that they have, to visit that. Julie says, did you see the Woman of the Hour? What is that? You have to tell me what that is. Yes, this is true. Miss Peggy says, unfortunately, there are always plenty of creeps, more every day. There will never be a shortage. Unfortunately, yeah, Mustang says she rewatches stuff too. Yeah. What did I start rewatching? I'll get bored. Instead of watching the stuff that I've not watched yet that I need to watch that's on my list, I'll get bored and just something to remind me of a show. I started rewatching Sons of Anarchy not too long ago. The Shield. I love that one. I started on that one again. The Sopranos. All those good shows. I'll just sit and binge a night and just binge watch a season of whatever. Julie says she loves American Horror Story, especially that particular season. Which one? We've been talking about Coven. We talked about Hotel, 1984. Sunday Doodle says they've been hiding in the bushes. Yeah, is that not what I said? What did I say? Yeah, Evan Peters played Dahmer. Yeah, and Evan Peters was, I don't know if he still is, but in the first few seasons he was a recurring actor in American Horror Story. Yeah, Charlie Hunnam is going to play Ed Gein. Yeah. But I think they call, I think it's made by the same thing. They call it Monster, and each season they doing a different one. The first one was Dahmer, and then they did what I say, the Menendez brothers, and now I think they're doing the Ed Gein. I think it's made by the same people, the same whoever, you know. No, Evan Peters played Dahmer. Yeah, that's what I said. Evan Peters played Dahmer. Charlie Hunnam is going to play Ed Gein. Sorry if I got confused. Oh, Miss Avery's already got, we had to keep an eye on Miss Avery. She's already down the rabbit hole researching Zodiac. We'll throw us some food down. I think you're right about that, Miss Paula. She was either almost or she was. And she ended up, I think she was, that might have been her first victim. I think is maybe what got her started. She was SA'd, and then she ended up taking him out. Not in the good way. Cyrus says, she doesn't blow dry my hair. Watch out, Alabama, and electrocuted lime will be on the loose. I said, I just don't have the patience. Now, back in of course, I grew up or was a teenager and young adult in the 80s and 90s. So, you know, I had the big hair going. So you had to blow dry and tease and crimp and gel and all the things. Aquanet it to death, but goodness. now it just gets washed and conditioned and then brushed and then just it's on its own. It's sent out to play and whatever happens happens. Oh, let's see, and we'll get caught up and then I'll have to get my next article loading just in case it takes a while. Miss Paula will like the next topic we're going to talk about. Yeah, so I thought that Miss Stormy said, yeah, that's what started her rampage, but the rest of her victims didn't. Yeah. Yeah. No, I didn't. What was the news? Sunday says, did you see the news about Scott Peterson? No, what news? Somebody will have to inform me. I haven't seen it. Or I don't think I have. Really? Yeah. So yeah, I have NBC on a dish. I wonder if I could watch Peacock, if I can sign in, because sometimes on the streaming services you can sign in with your TV provider, which I have Dish, and you can watch stuff. I'm gonna have to try that. I'll have to try it because I really want to watch it. Who was it? I forgot who mentioned it now. Peacock is the one that has the new series about Gacy. Miss Paula says she's already. Oh, is it already on? It says she watched Ed Gein. She loved it. Okay, so I'm assuming you're talking about Stranger Things. November 26th, Volume 1 of Season 5 comes out. Volume 2 on Christmas Day. And New Year's Eve is the series finale. I think I heard, because that reminded me, once you said that, one of the, when I was at work today, I, of course, always listen to the radio. And the DJ, whatever DJ was on there, was talking about Stranger Things. And I think they said maybe as the 2-hour season finale is going to be shown in select movie theaters, if I heard correctly. Now, I may be mistaken, but oh, I'd like to watch that one too. Stormy says, I also saw there's a Monster Lizzie Borden out somewhere. I have to look for that one. Paul said, yes, there is. Ah, gotcha. Okay, so Julie says Woman of the Hour is an excellent movie about the lady who won a date on the dating game with Rodney Alcala. Oh, I'll have to look it up and watch it. Stormy says she watched the Ed Gein series. It's wildly inaccurate, but it's still really good. Yeah, you know, these shows are going to take their, what they call it, their creative license. Oh, Mr. Steve is in the house. Hello, Mr. Steve. Oh, goodness. He's coming in with, what's he got to say? Hold on. I got to get up here where I can see. Welcome, Mr. Steve. Always good to have Mr. Steve here. If you don't know who Mr. Steve is, what are you doing with your life? Check out True Crime Web. So, scary fact, he says, all of the most dangerous persons I've interviewed in my career all were polite and very pleasant in demeanor. I contribute this to they must, hide in plain sight. I was only an inconvenience. Yep, that is true. Hiding in plain sight, and that's what's scary. We've talked about this. I mean, we've talked about it in a lot of times in the missing or any live stream, but Missing Person Monday. You can, I mean, it could be your next door neighbor. It could be somebody you see. If I did a retail for 15 years. We had regular customers that came in. I did food service for 10 years. We had regular customers at, the pizza place I worked at. Any one of them, anybody you come in contact with could possibly be one of those people. And that to me is horrifying because you just never know. And they can be, like Mr. Steve said, they could be the most pleasant, most polite, and you would never know. So you cannot judge a book by its cover. But please do check out Mr. Steve. Absolutely. He is the national treasure. I hope you're doing well tonight, sir. I hope you're getting some rest. I don't know if you're home or what you're doing, but it's always good to see Mr. Steve. Doodle will have to make a special video clip for Mr. Steve. We need a Mr. Steve video clip, Doodle. Just saying. Just saying. Everybody loves Mr. Steve. What? The Twilight Chick? What? Julie says written and started by the Twilight Chick. Twilight Chick. Oh, you talking about the actress? Oh, what was her name? Shoot. I can see her. You talking about the vampire movie Twilight? Hold on, it'll drive me crazy. Somebody give me her name. Somebody might have already. Let me finish comments before I look it up. Anna Kendrick. Was that her name? It's not who I'm thinking of. I'll take your word for it, though. Julie says, I haven't been able to watch the Ed Gein series yet because I know it's so inaccurate. Yeah, I've read reviews, articles about it, and they said, yeah, it's like whoever commented a while ago, it's very inaccurate, but it's good, you know. Yeah, Stormy says new Scott Peterson news. So I guess I'm not the only one who hasn't heard the Scott Peterson news. I'm behind on the news. Okay, Stormy says Lizzie. Oh yeah, I think I read that. Yeah, you mentioned earlier Lizzie Borden is the next monster one that they are filming. Excellent. I've got to get so caught up. Yes. Mr. Steve talking about Scott Peterson said the burglary across the street from the Peterson house has always intrigued me. I know for some reason I've always thought that had something to do with it or something. I don't know. Wasn't there was a robbery and then was there a van or something, a vehicle that was set on fire or something? Once again, somebody fact check me. I may be getting my cases mixed up in my head. But yeah, I'm the same way, Mr. Steve. Yep. Stormy says, look at BTK. He was your average neighbor, father, employee. Absolutely. Oh, and he's one that chills me to the bone, too. When he did his confession or allocution or whatever you called it, when he took the plea deal and he just stood up there, just stone-faced, matter of fact, describing all the crime. Oh, chills. Not in a good way. Yep. Stormy says BTK looks as normal as you can get. Yep. Yep. Sorry. Kristen. Yeah. What was her name? Kristen. Not Kristen Bell. It's a different. Hold on. I'm gonna have to look it up. Kristen Stewart. I can see her. Yeah, it's Kristen stuff. Kristen something. Yes. Paula was asking if there will be a link to the live stream that I'm going to go to Josh's channel, Josh the Posh, where lavender grows for Sunday. Yes, he already has it posted on his community tab. I meant to share it the other day when he posted it and I forgot, but I will share it on my community tab. If I remember, I'll do it tonight. If not, I'll do it in the morning. But yeah, there'll be a link. Absolutely. because he already has it scheduled. Love all Boston's emojis. Sorry, I feel like I'm leaning. See, that's why I turn the camera off when I'm. Oh, almost kicked myself out when I'm reading, because I get everything all wonkered here. As Paula says, they added some stuff that wasn't true in Ed Gein. Yeah, they had to take their creative license. Yep. BTK says, I agree. Stormy says, I agree. He had no remorse, didn't care, talked about everything like it was just a conversation at dinner. I know. I think I managed to watch it all the way through once. And I don't think I've watched it again. Thank you, Miss Paula. Yeah, Kristen Stewart played Bella in Twilight. Yeah, Mr. Steve says, going back to Scott Peterson, Amber, the girlfriend's tapes and testimony is hard to overlook to place the blame on anyone other than Peterson. Yep. All right, I think I'm caught up. So Miss Paula will like the next one if I can get the slide to go. Hold on, I'm trying to get the ads all out of the way. You know that whenever we're talking true crime, that Damien Eccles is going to show up somewhere. But yeah, I'm talking about Stranger Things. The Eddie Munson character is based on Damien Eccles. So this article is from, where is it from? Loudwire.com. And I think I got two articles, because I think the second part of this is talking about Metallica, which I have no problem talking about Metallica because I love Metallica. But so anyway, so it says Stranger Things metalhead Eddie Munson based on West Memphis 3's Damien Eccles. So did you know that Eddie Munson, the beloved metalhead from Netflix's Stranger Things 4th season, was based on a real life person who was also accused of homicide? Munson, the Metallica playing Stranger Things character, was inspired by Damien Eccles. They call him a writer who was part of the West Memphis 3, a group of teenagers convicted of homicide in Arkansas in the 90s. Eccles, now in his 40s, of course, we know they were released in 2011, along with Jesse Miss Kelly and Jason Baldwin. I know Miss Paula will probably ask me about if there's any West Memphis 3 news. They still haven't. I don't know if they sent the DNA off to the lab to be tested yet, but the latest news, the last news that came out was that the Arkansas Supreme Court had ruled that it had to be tested. They took, Damien or Eccles has been trying to get it tested forever. But there's been nothing else that's come out since they said, yes, it's got to be tested. They were fighting over who was going to take it to whatever lab it's going to be tested by. So who knows? It could be another, 20 years before it's tested, if ever. But anyway, so as it turns out, Munson's fictional storyline was loosely modeled on Damien Eccles' real ordeal, being convicted as part of the 1993 homicide of 3 boys. Stranger Things, Eddie Munson, played by Joseph Quinn, became one of the breakout characters of the show's most recent season, according to BuzzFeed. His storyline, which involves him being accused of a homicide he didn't commit because of his love for playing Dungeons and Dragons with the Hellfire Club, was inspired by Damien Eccles, who was similarly accused of homicide in 1994. See, I can kind of relate to being judged by how you look, how you dress, the kind of music you listen to, what games you like to play, Dungeons and Dragons, what kind of movies, or if you like to watch horror movies, if you like the horror genre in general. I fit all those categories. I have since I was very young. I've always loved, rock music, metal music, dressed in a lot of black back in the day. I loved all the weird stuff, the horror stuff, reading Anne Rice, Stephen King. I wasn't much of a game player like Dungeons and Dragons and things of that nature. But I was, me and my friends were judged for that by just the way we dressed, the kind of music we listened to, what kind of movies and stuff we like to watch, and I've never taken anybody out, I've never committed a homicide. So I can kind of see, the people that I'm not defending Eccles, but, I can put myself in those shoes about being judged by certain things. So now that's something that might not be known by every Netflix subscriber, but Stranger Things fans surely remember Munson from his crucial scene in Stranger Things 4 when he plays guitar, my Southern coming out again, guitar to Metallica's classic 1986 thrash metal single Master of Puppets, which is probably my personal favorite Metallica song. Just as a side note. In fact, there was no band but Metallica in mind for the pivotal Stranger Things part. From first drafting the season screenplay, series creators, the Duffer Brothers had already envisioned Metallica's Master of Puppets in the now iconic scene led by Munson. So this is when it starts going into Metallica. Oh, so that's what Hannah Davis, the director of creative sync licensing for Metallica's management company, explained in a column on Metallica's So What blog. Davis says the song was scripted in by the Duffer Brothers. It was in their mind from the very beginning. Nora Felder, who's the music supervisor, reached out to me in November of 2020. Nora ran me through the scene and explained the character of Eddie Munson to me. And also in the Paradise Lost trilogy of the original documentaries that came out about West Memphis 3, they used, I think, all Metallica music in those documentaries. So in writing Munson, the Duffer Brothers, quote, really wanted to get into this year. Hold on, this is written weirdly. The Duffer Brothers really wanted to get into this year was the Satanic Panic. And I remember anybody who's of a certain age back in the 80s when the whole Satanic Panic thing was going on remembers that mess. So they brought us back to the Paradise Lost documentary series with the West Memphis 3, and it brought us back to Damien Eccles. We really wanted that character who is a metalhead. He's into Dungeons and Dragons. He's ultimately a true nerd at heart. But from an outsider's point of view, they may go, this is someone that is scary. So that's really where the idea for Eddie came in. So that's what I was saying. You can't judge a book by its cover. Now, some cases it turns out to be true, but not all. 99.9% of people who dress in black, or you listen to metal music, and play Dungeons and Dragons are not bad people. Okay, so now it goes into the rest of that was about Metallica. So I had another article. Let me find it. So I'm trying to get used to using this new browser. Okay, let me see if this article will come up. So this one is from sci-fi.com. How Stranger Things metalhead dungeon master Eddie is based on the West Memphis 3's Damien Eccles. If you've been watching Stranger Things 4, then you're getting to spend some quality time with Eddie Munson, the dungeon master of the Hellfire Club, whose unfortunate proximity to Vecna makes him Hawkins' most wanted man in the hunt. This may be giving some spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen. I haven't watched it. But the true crime fan may recognize Eddie for another reason. He is based on a key figure from the all too true case of the West Memphis 3. In the 4th season of the popular Netflix series, which came out last week, and this article was written June of 2022. Viewers were introduced to the metal-loving character played by actor Joseph Quinn. Munson is a social outcast, a substance dealer, leader of the Hellfire Club, which is a group for Dungeons and Dragons fans. The first episode opens up with him scoffing at reports that the nerdy role-playing game leads to Satanism and even homicide. And yeah, because I had a cousin who loved to play Dungeons and Dragons, and everybody was like, "Oh my God!" He's never offed anybody either. Just to be, just to clarify. So soon enough, Munson himself is accused of homicide. Matt and Ross Duffer, who created the show, recently said in an interview that Munson is based on Damien Echols, who was convicted along, blah, blah, blah. We know all that. The Duffer brothers said that, quote, something we really wanted to get into this year was, once again, the Satanic Panic. So that brought us back to Paradise Lost, brought us back to Damien. We really wanted that character who's a metalhead. True nerd at heart, but from an outsider's point of view. Okay, so that's same thing. So that's really where the idea for Eddie came in. The Paradise Lost documentary series, directed by Joe Berlinger and Bruce Sinofsky, explored the case. So going back to Echols, Miss Kelly, and Baldwin. And of course, they were described as social outcasts who like metal music. Their controversial trial focused on Damien Echols' interest in paganism and Stephen King books. See, Stephen King and Rice are my two favorite authors. Once again, I'm not into Satanism. I've never offed anybody. So the apparent satanic panic, a fear in the 1980s and 90s that Satanism was running rampant in society, which it was not. Element of the case was the central focus of the documentary series, and questions about the teens' convictions grew louder. So once again, we know about the DNA emerging in 2007. They had the new trial. In 2011, they entered the Alford plea. They were released. So of the new Eccles-based character, Matt Duffer said, what's sad about his narrative is that the people who get to know him love him, and the people who don't have judged him horribly, just because of the way he dresses and just because of his interests. So I was saying I can definitely relate to that. Maybe not so much anymore. I mean, I'm wearing my Motley Crue t-shirt tonight, which does have it does have a pentagram on it. But anyway, but yeah, back in the day, I got judged for all those things. So, but anyway, and I have not watched I've watched 1, 2, and 3 seasons of Stranger Things. So I might have to go back and start all over again. It's been so long since I've watched them. I've already forgotten what all has happened. All right. Okay. Let me get back down to, I forgot to mark, I did mark it. There we go. Thank God. Because a lot of comments came up while I was reading. Really? Stormy says, speaking of BTK, Netflix put out a doc with his daughter, Carrie. I think I remember reading here a while back that was in the works, but I didn't know that it was out. Yes. Stormy says, Damien has a huge following now. I know. Once again, I've always said I'm on the fence on my opinions about if they're guilty or not. I mean, they were convicted, but then, they got the Alford plea, whatever. But I've never been a huge fan of Damien. I mean, in my opinion, he has definitely not done himself any favors. I mean, he's always in the spotlight. He's, once again, I don't know, I don't know for sure if he did it, if they did it, if they didn't do it. You can make a case either way. but he's just always been, I don't know, to me, he's a narcissist, if anything. I mean, at the very least. Always wants to be in the spotlight. He is into what some people would consider odd things. But once again, just because you're into odd things doesn't make you doesn't mean you've taken anybody's life. But yeah, he's not really a big fan of his. But yeah, he does have a huge following. Yeah, Stormy says, I still think that weird stepfather had something to do with that. Yeah, are you talking about not Hobbs, the other one? I'm telling you, it's not even. I got one more day to go, and my brain has already shut down for the weekend. And I think if you're talking about the other one, not Hobbs, but the other one, why can't I think of his name? Anyway, and he passed away here, a couple of years ago. But I think what gave him the bad rep, and I'm not saying once again, who knows, but the Paradise Lost trilogy, I don't know if he did it on his own. I think it was a little of both. He did it on his own and was encouraged to that really weird stuff that he was doing and the way he was acting in those documentaries. So in my opinion, that did a lot to, make people say, I'm not saying, he could have been really like that in real life, but I think a lot of it was for show. This is just my opinion, for show in those documentaries. He was kind of egged on to do it, But anyway, but he was definitely a little bit on the strange side. Stormy says, I feel like that case was a Delphi case of that era. Yep. Miss Paula agrees. Miss Peggy said, BTK's daughter is so caring and sweet. Yeah, I've watched a couple of interviews with her. Hey, True Crime Talk with Frank Master. Good to see you, sir. Always good to see you here. Please do check out Frank Master. It's always good when he pops in. We're just kind of chilling tonight, doing some true crime and pop culture, some horror stuff. Yeah, see, that pocket knife thing too gets me. Mr. Steve said, I agree, especially if the pocket knife information is true. Huge obstacle for DNA is, yes, cross-contamination. Absolutely. That's, almost kicked myself out. Yeah, the cross, because who knows, because this was going back to the West Memphis 3 evidence that they're supposed to be testing. First, I think that was some of the evidence that got lost. It supposedly burned up in the fire they had where it was stored, but then it was miraculously found. It was tested back in, I can't remember, I get my years mixed up. Before now, of course, we have all the advances. But yeah, who knows if it wasn't properly stored. There's no chain of command, I'm assuming. I mean, just knowing the case. No chain of command. Who's handled it? What? I mean, yeah. And Mr. Steve would know. I'm talking like I know what I'm talking about. But Mr. Steve is a professional. He's former law enforcement, former CSI, so he knows all about that stuff. But yeah, even if they do find anything, which I don't know what's it going to do? I mean, I'm all for testing it. Don't get me wrong. One way or the other, if it proves anything, doesn't prove anything, whatever, just test it. Just to, what's it going to hurt? What's it going to hurt? But yeah, even if they did happen to find, whether it be the threes, one or all three of the threes DNA, other DNA, somebody else's DNA. I mean, what can they do with that? I mean, I don't know. Other than, of course, Eccles wants to do it to be exonerated, but I don't know. I'm just, I get off on, well, we could talk about West Memphis 3 all night long. Oh, yep. I said, how do I say it? Guitar. That's how Julie says it. Guitar. My Southern's coming out. Nobody understands my Southern. Sometimes I don't even understand my Southern. And once again, automated phone services do not understand my Southern. Anyway. Oh, goodness. Stormy says Paradise Lost is a great dog. Yeah, they are what they are. I mean, because I watched them when they originally came out, because back then I did have HBO. Don't have it anymore. It's too expensive. But so I watched all 3 of them when they all came out originally. But then here a while back, maybe a year or so ago, I went back and rewatched all of them because I found them on one of the streaming services. I mean, you can definitely, they're most definitely slanted towards the West Memphis 3 being innocent, And I've watched probably every documentary and movie that's been put out about West Memphis 3. I watched those. I watched West of Memphis. I watched Devil's Knot, which was the fictionalized version of the Marl Everett book. Whatever other ones have been put out, there have been so many. But yeah, I agree. They're interesting, very interesting. Yep, Stormy's going back to the stepfather. Yeah. Mustang says, I still think West Memphis 3 are guilty. Yeah. I agree with Miss Paula too. Miss Paula says, I still think there's a lot that we don't know. That is possible. Yep. Mr. C says, red flag for me. And stepfather was him smoking next to the car, not with his wife at a critical moment for support. Yeah, when she, I'm assuming you're going to be talking, or you're talking about the when they found out when she basically collapsed on the ground, or there might have been another something else you're talking about. But yeah, I've had questions about him. I don't know. He'll pop up in my head uninvited every once in a while. I'm thinking, could be. Yep. Yeah. Hobbs, whether he had anything to do with it or not, he was definitely, just from what I've read of him and heard of him, not a good person, not an angel. Now, once again, that's not, not to say that you would take somebody's life, but it doesn't mean you wouldn't. Thank you, Miss Stormy agrees with me. She says Damien is definitely a narcissist. Yep. My opinion, he is. Thank you, John Mark Byers. For some reason, I could not get that name. Yep. Hobbs did try to sue the Dixie Chickens. Yep. The chicks now that they call themselves. Yep, he lost. Hammer time. Mr. C said, I think Hobbs needs some hammer time. Yeah, and supposedly some of the DNA that they're supposed to be testing is hairs. They were found at the scene. One was similar to one hair was similar to Terry Hobbs' hair, and then the other hair they found on a tree stump or something close to to the scene where they found the boys was similar to David Jacoby. So, but I mean, it could be transfer. It could be transfer. It could be that they were there. Who knows? Yeah, that's true. Miss Paula says someone new could come forward. Yes, that's it. Yeah, Devil's Knot. Yes, Reese Witherspoon played. Now I can't think of her name. The one married to Terry Hobbs. I'm telling you, my brain has shut down. What little brain cells I have left. Yeah, I played Stevie Branch's mom. Can't think of her name right now. Pam Hobbs. Pam. That's her name. Jeez Louise. Can't think of anything. Yeah, Reese played Pam Hobbs in Devil's Knot, which, like I said, is based on the book by Mara Leverett. Yep, that's what it's about. And it was okay. I mean, it like the documentaries. It is what it is. But yeah, I think they did a good job with it. It's basically just the fictionalized movie version of the book. Boston Christian still hanging in with us. Okay, so Ms. Paula says Paradise Sauce is on HBO Max. Ooh, I keep forgetting we have HBO Max too. We redid the package. So we have Disney Plus, which includes Hulu, ESPN Plus, and now we have HBO Max with that. And Tubi has West of Memphis. That might have been where I watched West of Memphis, because I have the Tubi app, which is free. And the ID or Investigation Discovery documentary. I don't know if I watched the ID documentary. I'll have to check it out. Thank you. Yes, Pam Hobbs. Her names escape me. Yep, absolutely. Mr. Steve says these hairs are the cross contamination, which can be easily explained due to some household washing machine. Absolutely. Yep. Okay. I think I'm caught up. Let's see what else we got. I should have been loading the so we've been talking about Ed Gein. So next we're going to talk about 7 horror movies or movie characters that were inspired by Ed Gein. Who technically, like we said earlier, unless there's just some, he has some bodies on him that he just didn't, he admitted to 2. Technically, because it doesn't, in the general, that 3 is considered 3 victims is considered a serial offender, 3 or 4. Technically, he admitted to 2, but he was a grave robber and he liked to do weird stuff with human parts. Let's just say, still very horrifying yet interesting. If not interesting in a good way, I don't know. I find him fascinating, horribly fascinating, if that's the way you to put it. But anyway, so this article is from biography.com, and it was fairly recent this year. 7 horror movies inspired by body snatcher Ed Gein, who is also known as the Butcher of Plainfield. So Ed Gein, as I said here, wasn't actually a serial offender. He only admitted to taking the lives of 2 women. Rather, he was a body snatcher who had an obsession with his deceased mother, Augusta. Yet, Gein's horrific crimes have inspired plenty of movies over the years. Monster, the Ed Gein story, the latest installment of the popular anthology series put out by Netflix, which we were talking about earlier, examines his legacy as the Butcher of Plainfield and his enduring influence in Hollywood. So Gein was the sole survivor of his family following his mother's death. He was a loner. He lived on a farm. He made a living as a handyman in Plainfield, Wisconsin. In 1957, after the town's hardware store owner, Bernice Warden, went missing, Gein was the last person reportedly seen at her store. He was arrested, and when authorities searched his home, so a little bit of a trigger warning. I'm going to try not to get too graphic, but so when they searched his home, they found not only Miss Warden's decapitated body, but also a museum of horrors that they could not possibly imagine. So inside Gein's farmhouse was an array of human body parts, skulls used as bedposts, wastebaskets and chair seats made of human skin, 9 salted, how can I put this, woman parts in a shoebox, leggings made from leg skin, a belt made out of nipples, and face masks made from female skin. So after admitting to the homicides of both warden and tavern owner Mary Hogan, whom he took the life of in 1954, Gein revealed the rest of the body parts scattered about in his house came from stealing female corpses from the local cemetery. So what was his goal in doing this? According to him, to make a bodysuit made of human flesh in order to slink back into his mother's skin. Yeah. So immediately, the first character, what character does that bring to mind from what movie? Trivia question. So Gein was deemed legally insane and institutionalized at a psychiatric ward in Wisconsin in 1994. He died of cancer and respiratory problems at age 77, and he was buried at his family plot in an unmarked grave. So the revelations of Gein's demented compulsions changed America forever and inspired a slew of horror movies, some of which are considered iconic. So the first one they mention is Psycho. Love that movie. The original. I did watch the remake. I can't remember when it came out. I did watch the remake. It was okay. I always go with the original. So Gein's haunting and infatuation with his mother has now become a trope for many demented horror characters who kill. Take Norman Bates in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho as a prime example. However, Bates was not taken directly from Gein, but instead from the imagination of novelist Robert Bloch. Still, there was a creepy connection. Bloch was actually writing his novel just 35 miles from where Gein lived. It was only right before he finished his book that Gein's murders came to light, so that's creepy. And Bloch was shocked at how closely Bates's actions and motivation resembled Ed Gein's. So next, they mentioned the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Very loosely inspired by Gein, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which came out in 1974, took the real-life body snatcher's obsession with human skin and used it to build its character Leatherface, who hid behind a face mask made out of human flesh. Although the movie's family of offenders had no relation to Gein other more conspicuous inspirations from the troubled man include body parts used as home decoration, the hint of cannibalism, and the mummified carcass of the family's matriarch sitting in the house, which whenever I watch that movie, when they're sitting at the dinner table, for some reason, I find it amusing, funny. I laugh every time. I know I'm a horrible person. Anyway. So this is what I think about it, except for the dancing around part. Now, who knows? Ed Gein could have danced around too. Silence of the Lambs, Buffalo Bill. That's what I think about when it mentions Ed Gein. Go away. Sorry, ads are popping up. Love Silence of the Lambs, one of my favorite movies. So the serial offender Buffalo Bill in The Silence of the Lambs, which came out in 1991, and not only found origins in Gein, but also from other famous serial offenders such as Ted Bundy, Gary Heidnik, and Ed Kemper. Buffalo Bill's obsession with female human flesh and making suits out of his victim's skin was a direct nod to Ed Gein. But despite its glorious subject matter, the movie won the Academy Award for Best Picture in 1992, which is very rare for any kind of horror movie to, even though there's some really good ones that have been nominated. Very rare for a horror, but I think they actually considered Silence of the Lambs more of a psychological drama. So it did win the Academy Award for Best Picture in 1992 and is considered one of the most influential horror flicks of all time. So they mentioned, I don't think I've ever watched this one, and I like B movies. I don't know if this is considered a B movie, called Three on a Meat Hook. So it says the title basically gives a lot away. Directed by horror filmmaker William Girdler, Three on a Meat Hook, which came out in 1972, tells the story of four young women whose car breaks down in a small town. A local farm boy helps them out and ultimately lures them to his family's house, where his father, Frank, waits to cannibalize them. Like Gein, Frank has an obsession with his dead mother, along with hanging his victims from meat hooks, which they also, Leatherface did that in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which Gein did to Warden's body, although it was never proven that Gein ate his corpses. It was widely assumed that he did. So there's a movie called Deranged, come out in 1974. That said is one of the movies that most closely depicts Gein's life. The slasher comedy drama centers around a middle-aged Midwestern farmer whose overly religious mother dies. He keeps her corpse around, and to satiate his dark desires, begins to rob corpses from the graveyard so they can keep his dead mother company. Eventually, he turns to homicide and enjoys skinning his victims' bodies and making face masks out of their flesh. See, and I haven't seen this one either. It's called Ed and His Dead Mother. It stars Steve Buscemi. I love Steve Buscemi. So it came out in 1993. A dark comedy stars Steve Buscemi as Ed Chilton, whose hardware store owner mother dies, leaving him to inherit the business. Salesman offers to resurrect Ed's mother from the dead, to which Ed agrees. However, once she returns, Ed's mother isn't the same, and like a proper zombie, it seeks out human flesh to eat. Ed decides that bringing his mother back to life has become more of a burden than he can bear, and in the end, he decides to destroy her by decapitation. I'm going to have to find that one. I like Steve Buscemi. And I like a zombie movie. I love zombie. Anything to do with zombies too. Oh, all right. So they had Child of God. It came out in 2014. It was it is an adaptation of Cormac McCarthy's 1973 book by the same name. I don't think I've read that one. I've read most of Cormac McCarthy's books. I don't think I've read that one. Although McCarthy's book was inspired by a real-life offender based in Tennessee, the character shares many similarities to Gein. In the film, the main character is a loner who lives in the middle of nowhere and whose necrophilia comes to life and grows after stumbling upon dead corpses in a car. So those were the 7 that they listed. Some mostly loosely based on Ed Gein. But to me, whenever I think of Ed Gein or characters inspired, Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs always is the first one that comes to my mind. Like I said, don't know if Ed Gein ever danced around, his house wearing the skin suit. But who knows? Who knows? All right, let me get caught up in y'all's comments. I think let me get the next, after this, we got one more short one and then we'll be done. Unless, or you got, well, we can talk about whatever. Let me get a drink. Oh gosh, I probably forgot to mark where I left. Oh, I did. Thank goodness. Okay, once again, thank goodness. Yes, I'm just going back to West Memphis, Missouri. Let me make sure. Oh yeah, so Mr. Steve was talking about the hairs or the cross contamination, which can be easily explained due to household machine washing, as we don't know in which order the children were tied. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, Stormy's going to name wants to name the movies. Yep. Psycho. Yeah, you're right on that one. Hannibal. Yeah, you're close. Silence of the Lambs. Yep. Yeah, Silence of the Lambs. Yeah. Mr. Steve says Gein was creative even for a nut. Yeah, I've seen pictures of some of the stuff he made. Yeah, he had a little bit of talent for making stuff. Oh goodness. Am I a bad person for laughing at that? Oh, sometimes you gotta laugh to keep from crying. See, I'm not the only one laughing. Mustang was laughing with me. Yes, Stormy said he really was resourceful. Oh goodness. Recycle. He was recycling. Come on, guys. Oh my God, I'm gonna go to hell. Yeah, Ed Gein was, yeah. I said technically he wasn't a serial offender unless he just had some, like I said, unless he had some bodies on him that he didn't admit to and that they never found. But he wasn't right. He wasn't right. That's true. Stormy says, not sure why he was making lampshades though. He did not have power. True. He was creative. He was creative. That is true, Mr. Steve. Leave it to Mr. Steve to notice. Says even in this picture on the slide, top button buttoned up. Who does that? Psychos, psychopaths. Uh, did Dahmer always have the? I think in most pictures of Jeffrey Dahmer, when he's wearing a button-up shirt, I think he always has the top button done. I think once again, I could be confusing him with somebody else. Yes, original Psycho is definitely better. Absolutely. Like I said, I watched the remake. I remember Anne Hesh was in it. I can't remember who played Norman in it. I don't even remember what year it came out. It was okay, but now I really enjoyed the Bates Motel series that was out that came out was on a few years ago. Vera Farmiga was in it. She played Norman's mom, and oh crap, what's his name? The one that was on The Good Doctor played Norman, young Norman. Oh God, what was his name? Hold on. Freddie Highmore. Freddie Highmore. That's it. As soon as I looked it up, it popped into my head. Freddie Highmore played a young Norman. Vera Farmiga played his mom. That was a good series, in my opinion. I don't know. Miss Avery says, what was the fascination with his mother about? I don't know. But there are a lot of them who have fascinations with it. What is that? That's called something. There's a name for it. Something complex or something. I don't know. Maybe they weren't held enough when they were kids. I don't know. Paula said in the series, the Psycho house is an exact replica of Ed's house. Oh, I never thought about that. Are you talking about the Bates Motel series? Yep. Stormy says a lot of people put him in the serial offender category, but he was only known to have unalived 2 women. He was just weird and robbed graves. Yeah. Yep. I know the dancing, the Buffalo Bill dancing. I know. I have to laugh every time too when I see that. Mr. Steve says, when you're that crazy, no power is not an obstacle to appreciating your interior decorating skills. Oh, goodness. Yeah, that's true. Miss Peggy said, in her opinion, generally originals are usually better, remakes not so much. Yeah. See, and I always go with the original, always the best. Now, there's some remakes that I've watched that are good, not better than the original, but they are, pretty good. And then there are some, like Miss Peggy said, not so much, not so much. And it really irks me because lately they've been doing a lot of remakes of 80s movies that come out in the 80s, my kind of movies. What I call my movies that I watched growing up or as a teenager, young adult. Really irritates me. Don't like them. Don't like them. Stormy agrees with Miss Peggy. Mr. Steve said, I scare myself at times. I work with so many people with dark humor. You have to, though, especially when what you, God knows, the things you had to see in law enforcement and CSI. I can just only imagine. I mean, sometimes you got to have that dark humor to just get through, to get through. I'm not trying to speak for Mr. Steve, but I'm just trying to imagine how that would be just to get through, just. Oh, like I said, sometimes you got to laugh to keep from crying. Stormy said Ed didn't even use a chainsaw. Uh, See, I like dark humor too. Miss Peggy says she liked dark humor. So do I. You haven't seen what, Stormy? Stormy says she hasn't seen something either, but I'm curious. Oh, the movies? Okay. So Julie says she thinks she saw Ed and his dead mother, but now I need to watch it again. Was that the one with Steve Buscemi? I'm got to find that one, the one with Steve Buscemi, at least, and watch it. Stormy likes dark humor. I do too. Oh goodness. Miss Peggy's. I said I like zombies. Miss Peggy said zombies. Are we going to go into Lori and Chad Daybell? Oh goodness, that's a whole can of worms. Mr. Steve says he's laughing at. I'm laughing at some of my memories of others I worked with in the conversations. I can just imagine some of them. Sorry if it's scratching my earbud wire keeps getting hung up on me. I can just imagine some of those conversations. Yeah, Miss Peggy says, talking to Mr. Steve, I bet you have some great memories and stories. I'd love to hear them. Me too. We kept telling him on one of his live streams, even if it was just the members only, he was going to have to tell us some of his stories. We wanted to hear them. Paula says the use of the skin used as face mask was why they included it. That was the mask they did for Leatherface. Cool. She said memories, yes, great. Depends on the definition. Yeah, he was just recycling. Oh my God, I have to stop. Oh Lord. Yep. Yep. Norman did dress up in his mama's clothes. His mom, or dressed up as his mom. Miss Paula says the cross dressing was psycho and dancing. The Buffalo Bill character, yeah, Buffalo Bill character danced around though in Silence of the Lambs. And they threw in a background actor for Ted Bundy. Oh, Stormy you watched Bates Motel? Yeah, I love Bates Motel. It was good. Yeah, Mama's Boys. I'm telling you, something went wrong somewhere. And Miss Peggy says the mommy and daddy complex. Yeah, it's called something. I can't think of it now. When you have the fascination with the mom, the something, it's called something. It has a technical name. I can't think of it right now. Of course, I can't even think of my own name right now. Okay, I'm caught up again. So we'll mark there. So the last one we have, not really about a sorry for, oh geez, kick myself out again. Not really about a based on a true story, but kind of inspired. We talked about Halloween earlier, the original Halloween, which one of my favorite movies of all time, regardless of the genre, not just in horror. But I found this is the article that actually inspired me to look for these other things for this live stream tonight. But it came from people.com. Is Halloween a true story? All about the real teen whose spine-chilling stare inspired Michael Myers. Sorry. So actually, John Carpenter, who wrote and directed the movie, was inspired by an actual patient he met while visiting a psychiatric hospital, in part. This is in part. So Michael Myers has been an unstoppable evil force since he debuted in Halloween, but is the knife-wielding offender based on a real person. The 1978 slasher is considered to be one of the most influential horror films of all time. And while the movie's setting of Haddonfield, Illinois is not an actual place, filmmakers John Carpenter and Deborah Hill based the spooky story on real life experiences. So the script, for anybody who doesn't watch horror movies or hasn't seen Halloween, which tells the story of babysitter Laurie Strode, who's played by Jamie Lee Curtis, as she is stalked by an evil killer named Michael Myers, who has recently escaped from a psychiatric hospital. It only took this surprised me. I never read it, and everything that I've ever watched and read about this movie, it only took them 3 weeks to write the movie. It took about 3 weeks to write, as revealed by Deborah Hill in the 2003 documentary Halloween, A Cut Above the Rest. She said in 2002, the idea was that you could not kill evil. We went back to the old idea of Samhain, that Halloween was the night when all the souls are let out to wreak havoc on the living. Then came up with the story about the most evil kid who ever lived. So when it comes to the details, Deborah Hill drew upon her background to create the film's fictional town, while Carpenter to get inspiration from a boy that he met in college to create the character of Michael Myers. So here's everything we need to know about the real stories that inspired Halloween. So is Michael Myers based on a real person? So Michael Myers was named after a real person that Carpenter and Deborah Hill both knew. As Deborah Hill explained in, once again, the 2003 documentary, the real life Myers was the distributor for the filmmakers' Assault on Precinct 13. She says Michael Myers pushed it into the London Film Festival. I felt I owed him, so that was my tribute to name the character after him. This is what John Carpenter said. So when it came to Michael Myers' persona, the screenwriter said he drew inspiration from several sources, including a patient that he met while visiting a psychiatric hospital as a student at Western Kentucky University. So Carpenter said in the documentary, we visited the most serious patients. There was this kid, he must have been 12 or 13, and he literally had this look, a really evil stare. And it was unsettling to me, and it was like the creepiest thing that I'd ever seen. And I'm just picturing, if anybody has seen, I think it's actually in Halloween 2, when the Dr. Loomis character is doing this conference talking about, because he wrote the book, and it has a picture, and I've looked for a picture, because they have the they have the screen behind him in the movie with the picture of the book, the cover of the book, and it's just got this kid on it. It's some actor, I'm assuming, but just with the most evil, pure evil stare. And I could not find a picture of what they used in the movie. But anyway, it's kind of, I liken it to, I've always said when we were talking about Richard Ramirez, that I cannot look at pictures of Richard Ramirez, because to me, his eyes and just his look is just pure evil. It just sends chills down my spine. It's kind of like that kind of vibe. So Carpenter described the look further through the character of Sam Loomis, who's played by Donald Pleasance, who says in the first film, so this is what he says at the conference when he's talking about this book, and this based on this real boy, Michael Myers. He says, quote, "I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil." One of the greatest lines from any movie, that, in my opinion. Like I said, I'm a huge, always been a huge Halloween fan. So as for Myers' inhuman strength, Carpenter said his resilience was intentional, excuse me, and reminiscent of Westworld's Yul Brynner, who plays a robot that's incapable of destruction. He says, "I thought it might be a good idea to raise this Michael Myers character up to a mythic status, make him human, yes, but almost like a force that will never stop, that cannot be denied." So Carpenter told Deadline in 2014, Michael Myers is part person and part supernatural force. So trivia question, who is Michael Myers' mask modeled after? So I'll wait a minute before I see if anybody could knows the answer or this bit of trivia. So the mask that Michael finds and wears, or he's shown wearing, is based off of a mask of a character from a TV show, actually, a sci-fi TV show. Oh, y'all are so smart. Y'all got it. Miss Paula got it first. Yes, William Shatner. Yep, the Captain Kirk character. Mustang got it. William Shatner, absolutely. Yep. So before Michael Myers' mask was associated with a monster known as the Shape, which is what actually that, in the first movie, that's what they call him, the Shape, or that's what he was known as. It was designed to embody Star Trek's Captain Kirk, as played by the great William Shatner. I almost said the late great William Shatner. I believe he's still alive. So according to Carpenter, production designer Tommy Lee Wallace found the accessory at a mask shop on Hollywood Boulevard. He said there are actually 2 options that he was going to get. One was a clown mask. Don't even get me started on clowns. He said, which was a better mask. But Wallace revealed in the 2003 documentary that the Captain Kirk mask, quote, didn't really look like anybody despite its branding, making it better suited to the filmmaker's preference for something pale and featureless, characteristics Carpenter said he found in the 1960 French film Eyes Without a Face. This girl had a burned face, so she wore this face mask, and it was really creepy because it was featureless and immobile except for her eyes. Wallace ultimately cut the eye holes of the Shatner mask to be larger. He tore off the eyebrows. He poofed out the hair, quote, so it looked demented and strange. He removed the sideburns, and he also spray painted the mask white, transforming it into Michael Myers' face. So who inspired the character of Laurie Strode? Once again, played by Jamie Lee Curtis. So like Michael Myers, Laurie Strode's name likely came from a real-life person. Business Insider reported in 2021 that John Carpenter named the film's heroine after an ex-girlfriend. Strode's background and personality, however, were most likely influenced by Deborah Hill. She says, I was a babysitter and I knew what it was like to be all of those characters, as she said in the 2003 documentary. She said, I really contributed the girl dialogue, as she called it. So like Laurie Strode, Deborah Hill also grew up in a small town. Halloween's fictional setting of Haddonfield, Illinois was modeled after Hill's hometown borough of Haddonfield, New Jersey. Hill says, I really had a sense of what a small town was like. So where is the real Michael Myers house? One of the creepiest houses in any movie I've ever seen. So John Carpenter said that the Myers home in the film was based on small town folklore. And absolutely, he says, quote, most small towns have kind of a haunted house story of one kind or another. At least that's what teenagers believe. There's always a house down the lane that somebody was killed in. He said this in the documentary. I mean, even here in the town that I live in, less than 2,000 people. When I was probably 10th or 11th grade, maybe my junior year. I mean, nothing ever happens in this town. You know, one of those towns, cliche, nothing ever happens here except for every once in a while. But when I was probably a junior, 10th grade or 11th grade, there was this right in the middle of town. We had to go past it to go to the school. Just this white, decrepit, old wooden house. Somebody did live in it. Some guy, I can't even remember what his name is. And it's been so long since this happened, I don't even remember why. But somebody ended up taking his life, a homicide. Once again, trying not to be too graphic or whatever. But so the guy that took this guy's life that lived in this house, he killed him. He put chains around his feet and then attached it to the back of the truck, the fender's truck, and drug him down that street that we had to go through to go to school. And for I don't know how long, you could see actually, and I can't remember if it was a GSW or a blunt force trauma or what that actually killed him. But there was a line of blood down the road from where he dragged him down the road to whatever, dispose of the body or whatever. Anyway, so even in, like I said, small towns in mine that nothing ever happens in, something happens in. So you do have that. So, I mean, then I remember after it happened, of course, they had the crime scene tape up around the house and all that, so it was a thing, everybody had to drive by and look, but so yeah, in every town, no matter how small, there's always at least one story of a house, that something happened in. So the exterior of the home where the Myers lived is a real place, though it is not in the Midwest, but it in South Pasadena, California. That's where the John Carpenter said that's where the old house is that the kids are out in front of, where we pull back. He says it's right off of Sunset Boulevard, or it was. So can you visit the Michael Myers house? So the South Pasadena home that was used does still exist today, but it is now in a different location. According to Florida and Georgia-based realty company Watson Realty Corp., the home was relocated from its 707 Meridian Avenue address to 1000 Mission Street in 1987 to make way for a hospital. So it's still there, but it's not in the same place that it was when they filmed the movie. So while the home was saved from being bulldozed, the company reports that it was converted from a private residence into office space. Well, that's a damn shame. In the process, and does not allow visitors to come inside. See, that would have made the perfect tourist attraction, museum. You know, have the house, get props, things that have to do from the movie, and put it in and make like a little museum. At least that would be ideal for me, for somebody like me. Anyway, so the nearby hedge on Montrose Avenue in South Pasadena, where Michael first reveals himself, you know, he's peeking around the bushes, is also still a popular visitor attraction. So what happened to the boy who inspired the character of Michael? Though it's unclear what happened to the patient that Carpenter met in college, the fate of the fictional Michael Myers was ultimately sealed in the most recent, so spoiler alert for anybody, was ultimately sealed in the most recent Halloween sequel, 2022's Halloween Ends, which, spoiler alert, sees Myers being killed by Lori and her granddaughter before his body is placed into an industrial-sized shredder. So as Carpenter explained, the character was never meant to have such a definitive narrative. Carpenter said, this guy's a human, but he's not. He's more than that. He's not exactly supernatural, but maybe he is. Who knows how he got that way? It makes the original ending more surprising. So that's just a little trivia on Halloween, the movie. And I also, now this is a point of contention for some fans, but I did really enjoy Rob Zombie did do reboots or remakes. He did 1 and 2, he did 2 of them, Halloween 1, Halloween 2, which I really enjoyed. I really liked them. Now, I think it with fans, it's kind of it's either you love them or you hate them. I really liked them, but I like all of Rob Zombie's movies that he's done, but I've been a fan of his since his music, since White Zombie, and then he went on a solo career, and then he started doing movies. But I really liked the remakes, reboots that he did of the Halloween. I liked how he delved into, in the first one, and to an extent in the second one, what happened to Michael before what he does in the original movie when he kills his sister, and you know, all that. So I really liked Rob's take on, you know, his idea of what led to Michael Myers becoming Michael Myers, you might say. But anyway, so let me see. I'm going to turn that off while I lean into the camera. Oh my goodness, my voice is about to go. Get caught up on your fine. There we are. Okay. What are you talking about? Ed Gein? This Paul says apparently Ed helped catch Ted Bundy. Yeah, there's a name. Yeah, Miss Peggy said, yeah, there's a name for it. The Oedipus complex or something complex. Something to do with, it may not be Oedipus, it's something else. I don't know. It's something complex. Oh my goodness. I love that. Mr. C says, my sister has 2 boys, one named Michael and the other named Jason. So I'm the normal one. First of all, that's awesome because, obviously I love Halloween and also I like Friday the 13th. But I don't know about Mr. Steve being the normal one. After all, Mr. Steve is the one who plays with dolls, his creepy dolls. Apparently we found out a couple weeks ago that he has a fetish for counting fingers and toes. And what else? There's something else. No, we love Mr. Steve. Oh, goodness. As Stormy says, the Ted Bundy scenes, holy. I was convinced that was the next installment in the monster thing. Would have been him, but it's Lizzie Borden, which I'm excited for too. Yeah. Yeah, and I watched once again the name of the show and the actress who played Lizzie Borden. There was a series, it was out a few years ago, maybe called Lizzie or something, but what's her name played Lizzie Borden. Once again, I don't know. I'm having trouble. My memory's going. It was okay. I liked it. It was, it was enjoyable to watch. Why can I not think of her name? I can see her plain as day. Can't think of her name. Stormy says Ed didn't help catch Ted. That was a rumor. I don't think I've ever heard that rumor. Yeah, Bundy could be a future season of Monster. True. I feel like I don't know why things are all wonky. I don't know. Anyway. See, I'm glad Mustang understands. I'm laughing. She's laughing too. Stormy says that would be great. They would do a great job because extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile was good, but I think they would do better. Oh my gosh. And Mr. Steve says, I was on a security team on a DP case. The defendant's attorney's name was Michael Myers. Oh, can you just see? Oh, I could just see, that on the slide there. That mask wearing a suit, a suit and a tie. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, everybody got the William Shatner. Did I go back? What am I doing? I already did those. Oh, I think I did it when y'all, okay. Steve said, I think he spelled his name Meiers. Or is that a Mandela effect? Is it Mayer or Eyer? Anyway. Story says, I thought you were joking. Oh, I bet y'all did. Miss Tree said we joked with him about it during the trial. Yeah. I'm glad I'm not the only one who doesn't like clowns. Clowns creep me the F out. The only clown I can watch, and I do it grudgingly, is the original It, Pennywise, that Tim Curry played in the original It movie or miniseries, whichever it was. I think it was a movie. It's the only clown I can watch, only because I love Tim Curry so much. I still haven't been able to bring myself to watch the remakes of the It movies, the 1 and 2, or how many ever they've done, which I'm going to have to watch because I really want to watch the It Welcome to Derry series. It's going to be on whatever streaming service it's on. It's one that I have, maybe Hulu or Disney Plus, which is Hulu now, or Disney Plus bought Hulu, but I really want to watch it because I've read the book, obviously, because Stephen King. But the clown they did in the And the remake is I can't. But I really want to watch that series anyway. So I'm torn. I'm torn. I'm gonna have to put aside my fear of my hatred of clowns so I can watch it. Anyway, see, and I can't look at pictures of John Wayne Gacy when he's in his clown get up. I can't do it. That's double. That's double. That's a psycho and a clown all together. I can't. I can't. What kind of moment are you having, Stormy? Yes, Jamie Lee Curtis, the Scream Queen, literally, yeah, the Scream Queen. No, she wasn't in Scream. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. Yep, she is known as the Scream Queen. Yep, the original. Wasn't there a series or something called Scream Queens or something? I think I was gonna watch it. I never watched it. As Peggy said, they don't have any red rummers there yet. Just a few that almost burned the campground down. Oh my gosh. Oh, me and Stormy are going to be best friends. She loves Rob Zombie movies too. Once again, with Rob Zombie, it's most of the time it's you love him or you hate him. Is whether it be music, his movies, whatever. Of course, I've seen all of his movies. Starting with the first with House of a Thousand Corpses, and you got Devil's Rejects, and you got Three from Hell, and you got what was it, Salem? I watched all of them, but Devil's Rejects, House of a Thousand Corpses, and the Halloween remakes are probably my favorites of his that he's done. The one he did about Salem, the Salem witches, that's probably my least. I don't know. It was okay, but wasn't one of my favorites. Because Peggy loves Mr. Steve and his dolls. Mr. Steve, do you count the fingers and toes of your creepy mannequins? Yes, they do. Mr. Speaking of, he said, my Kohlberger mannequin, which is the creepiest one ever, and this Michael image have a lot in common. Yeah. Oh, I think I'd rather look at the Michael Myers picture than the video of your Kohlberger mannequin. I have nightmares about that one. Peggy says, don't think I've seen the Lizzie series. Do remember Elizabeth Montgomery as Lizzie in a movie. Oh, God. So the actress that played Lizzie in that series, I think she was the one that played Wednesday Addams in like the original Addams Family movies the first ones they did. Hold on. I know they've done a ton of reboots and remakes or whatever, or anything about somebody will probably put it in the comments before I can look it up. Hold on. I want the movie. Christina Ricci. Duh. Christina Ricci played Lizzie in that series that I'm trying to think of. One moment. Look up Christina Ricci's. Oh, if it'll go. Oh my gosh, nothing will. There we go. Hold on. Thank you, Stormy, for. Oh, there she is. Thank you, Stormy, for being here, my dear. Always good to see you. The Lizzie Borden Chronicles. That's what it's called. It came out in 2015. Yep, that's the one I watched. The Lizzie Borden Chronicles. There's a limited series following Lizzie Borden after she is acquitted of the homicides of her father and stepmother. It premiered on Lifetime on Easter Sunday. I didn't watch it on Lifetime. April 15, 2015, ended on May 25th, 2015. The series is a continuation of the story begun in the network's 2014 film Lizzie Borden Took an Axe. That had to be the one I watched, because I know that Christina Ricci was the one that played Lizzie. So anyway. All right. Yep, Sweet Dreams to Stormy. All right, I think that was the last one I had. Yes, it was. Okay. All right, guys. We are going to get out of here. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging with me for a little while and having a little bit of fun, a little bit of laughs to kind of ease out of the, like I said, Monday's live stream was very, of course, they're all bad and intense, but it seems like all the Monday cases that we looked at, even more disturbing than a lot of them we look at. So it was kind of nice to take a little break from that. Still keep with the true crime angle, but have a little bit of fun, relax a little bit. So once again, don't forget, Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central, I will share, and I'm sure somebody did put in Josh's channel. I don't remember where Lavender Grows. If not, I will share the link to the live stream for Sunday night. Please watch live if you can. If not, Replay Crew, absolutely wonderful also. Like I said, I'm still depending on how the weekend goes and everything goes. Missing Person Monday, maybe Missing Person Tuesday. Depends on, like I said, I still haven't even figured out. I think we're doing Alaska, but I got to figure out which town we're going to do in Alaska, which city, town, whatever, for missing. So Monday might be pushed to Tuesday, but I will let you guys know. Once again, thank you to everybody that was here. Thank you, Replay Crew. Thank you, lurkers. Thank you, chatters, members, subscribers, everybody. And as always, we'll leave you with the fur babies, with Little Biscuit and Tigger. And hopefully I will see you guys Sunday if you can make it live. If not, I will see you either Monday or Tuesday. Thanks, guys. Love y'all, and I will see y'all soon.